Bootleg podcast. We are in the building, man, with my guy, 19 Keys.
Man, feels good to be back.
Sir. Thank you for pulling up. Very good day in LA, by the way. Sorry, you got to do the white guy pound, you know? The old white dude pound. But, yo, thank you for coming back, brother.
Thank you for having me.
How's everything been?
Everything is great. You know what I mean? In despite of the world, shifting into a new world order.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the last time you were here, it might have been like right around the time Trump was getting in.
I believe so. I think it was like right beforehand, and we was kind of just giving an analysis on everything.
Yeah, and like, I think like back then there was like a very, and I think like hindsight's 2020, and this is what I try to tell people all the time. Like, I think at that point in time, like we had just watched genocide of people happen on the watch of the left.
Yeah.
And we watched like a Democratic National Convention happen without any sort of mention of, right, or really any sort of empathy for what's going on over there. And, we kind of saw Kamala kind of tiptoeing around that subject in a real serious way. And it kind of felt like left or right, we're kind of fucked. But now that we're, a year and some change into Trump's presidency, man, like you said, bro, it feels like a year and a half is really, this is like the type of I feel like this is kind of like we're on the other side of COVID, but in a different way, like where the world will just never be the same.
No, we've been through a great transition already and may not even realize it. Just the way that we experience time has changed in a profound way. Like just think about the week of Carmelo Anthony verdict, then you got the FIFA World Cup, then you got the NBA championships with the Knicks winning, right? And then you have the SpaceX IPO. We have our first trillionaire, right? Like there's all of these things that converge that usually would be one long news cycle. But instead, these are just a day of conversation, right?
100%.
And so like we at this point now where they can literally give full disclosure on aliens and we'll go about our day the next day. Nothing sticks anymore.
Nothing.
That's why attention is such a raw asset that everybody wants, because the moment you have it and while you're holding it, it's valuable. But then it dissipates and it disappears. And you only got to find that amount every single day. And that's why we have our first trillionaire.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you said, like I think that change has benefited some of the elites in the world because so much shit, the news cycle changes so fast. It's almost like we were so drummed up about the Epstein shit, and then they went and kidnapped Maduro. Yeah. And then we were on that for a few days.
Yeah.
And then the Maduro shit, it was like the next thing happened. Yeah. And then the next, and it's like, bro, the fact that we still, like, we kidnapped the president of a foreign country and he's currently incarcerated in New York. And I don't think anybody in mainstream media has talked about it. Like, when's the last time we got an update on his shit?
None.
But it's
because who has time to process?
100%.
Well, we currently have a world of reaction instead of reflection.
Yeah.
Everybody reacts to videos, reacts to news. We don't reflect on anything. There's no process, no real critical analysis. And then from there, that means that all our conversations are shallow, right? When we have a society that can't properly like process anything, they're much easier to control because you're keeping them all at this shallow point to where nothing matters to them. There's no morals, right? Because we went through a deep phase of demoralization, and therefore there's no rebellion that's going to occur as well, right? Like what would make American people rebel against empire? Like what could they do at this point?
Yeah, it's almost like we're kind of with open arms, like ushering in our replacement. It's almost like when you watch like the Hunger Games, which is obviously, I think a lot of the Hollywood shit is just preconditioning us for what's going to be inevitable. But it's like how does society get to a point like that? And it's like they damn near they let it happen.
Well, America is the experiment that gets to that point.
Yeah.
If you look at Europe, right? Europe is a capitalist, but they don't have any growth. They don't have any economic growth. They watching and looking at America to see what happens.
Right.
Right? America is such a greedy place, and we in late stage capitalism where everything is a product. Your attention is a product, your passion is a product, your time is a product, your mind, everything has been monetized, right? And so it's now money over meaning. And now people are getting money, but then they have lives that are meaningless.
Yep.
They don't know what they're doing it for, why they alive, what matters anymore. right? And I think that that's where we at to this point where as long as there's a fiduciary duty that a person that is already ahead of $1 trillion company has to then grow and scale past $1 trillion versus sustain, right, growth or sustain, profits on where it already is, it's always going to push profit over people. America is unsustainable on its current trajectory because let's say if SpaceX gets to 10 trillion, how many people got to die for that to happen? Like, let's think about this. Elon Musk is a trillionaire, right? Which no one person should ever have become a trillionaire. That means capitalism is past anything that its initial stages ever thought it was going to be. Even Rockefeller, I'm sure, never thought he'd probably see a trillionaire, because that number shouldn't even exist. That means that he is hoarding most of the world's wealth, right? It was a position that came out, a statement that came out and said that Jeff Bezos' wealth is closer to, the average citizen than it is to Elon Musk. Because at $1 trillion,
that's crazy.
It's ridiculous. But then let's ask this question. If all of Elon Musk's inventions and his companies that he had bought and now he currently owns, if they disappeared, how would it affect your life?
Wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, the man becomes a trillionaire and none of our lives have become better because of it. I mean, you might like a nice little Tesla car, got the electric.
I got a Tesla. I love it. Self-drives is amazing.
But you can go get some other car. He did help pioneer the electric car industry.
Right.
Right. But
China's fucking miles ahead of us in that way now.
And gas is still high as hell.
100%.
You understand me? Like, we have not, the average person can't say they have had a positive impact on their lives. And if Elon Musk did not exist, this trillionaire did not exist, my life would be exactly the same. Maybe better.
I think the same thing can go when it comes to these data centers and these AI companies, like a guy like Kevin O'Leary and that situation that just happened in Utah where you're like, no, like if AI went away tomorrow, none of our lives would really take a hit. Because in terms of like normal Americans, most of us are using AI for like just a new version of Google or dumb meme shit.
Yeah, no, right now the AI is just making the rich richer.
That's all. It's like a tool to just increase wealth.
Because if you already have these systems and you know how they work and you got SOPs for these systems, and then you're looking at what they call token ROI, right? Like, how do you get return of investment from every token that you're spending for every AI task that you have it doing something? Are you saving time? Are you saving money, etc.? So if you start to take everything and you detail it out, and then you can say, okay, well, this is a system. Let's say we're talking about podcasting and editing. Yeah. Somebody has to stitch together clips. Somebody has to review them, right? And then somebody has to cut those up and then contextually send you over those clips, and then that has to be posted. We talking about time. We talking about energy, right? We talking about creativity. Well, if you can automate parts of those tasks, how much money are you saving? How much time are you saving? Then with that time saved, what are you doing with that gap? Now, let's say if you automate that with a press of a button, now you can do that across 100 pages, right? Now, let's say that is still only costing you $100 to $200 a month, right? But it's allowing you to make an additional $20,000 to $200,000 a month. Right now, you can justify that spend. Right. But the only people that's truly doing that, it's a very small percentage of people on the planet.
Very big minority that's using AI to do that. Yeah.
Most people don't have what they call AI fluency, like the way that you're actually using AI, the way that you're prompting it, the way that you're checking it, the way that you're reviewing it. And most people are not checking to see if they're getting the most out of it. Right. So we're not trying, when we look at what AI is, I don't think that it shouldn't exist. Right, because I think that the same thing with like social media. It gives us the opportunity to level the playing field if it was used by us correctly, right? But if we're not owning, controlling, mastering the models, AI literacy becomes a new financial literacy, right? And with financial literacy and a lack of financial literacy, we see the economic devastation that it has in our communities every single day, right? Like the health and wellness are intrinsically connected. It's a thing called poverty-induced stress syndrome, which is basically pissed, right? Where when you don't have money and let's say you get sick, now when you get sick, that's going to stress you out more because you can't pay the health bill, right? And so this then becomes this cycle. It's the same thing with education, and most of the time you get a low education is because you're in an environment that serves you education that you don't even have an option to get a better one. You can't afford a tutor. With the AI, you can start putting these things in place to start creating an opportunity for people that normally would not be able to afford a tutor based on their cognitive type to be able to learn now. But does it really matter? If the whole world is going to change and they're trying to figure out every single day how to replace job, how to replace influencers, how to replace rappers with AI, what is actually left after you get this education and now you say I'm smarter because of it, but the world has changed so much that it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't have a place for you in it anymore.
No, because you're preparing for a world that don't exist no more.
Right. All right, another podcast brought to you by ODDSOX. That's right, baby. Listen, guys, we got to stop playing here. The most comfortable socks in the world. We've been rocking ODDSOX for over 10 years, all right? And when I tell you these ODDSOX basics, not only are they the most comfortable socks in the world, they're also a lot more affordable than Nike. They're better than Nike. They're the best socks. And listen, the basics line, whether you got the ankle socks, whether you got the anklet socks, the tube socks, white, black, whatever the case is, ladies, they got all kind of flavors for y'all. And of course, the vintage, ODDSOX, man, they got the licensing game on smash. Shout out to them because they just did an incredible job with their ODDSOX pop-up in Tampa. Whatever you're into, man. Of course, they got the Budweiser, they got the Michelob, they even got fucking Liquid Death socks. What are we doing here? Shout out to ODDSOX. Go to oddsocksofficial.com. Use the promo code Bootleg right now. Save 20% off your order. Get you some basics. Thank me later. Hey, can we show a little footage from the ODDSOX pop-up that they did? They made their very own like liquor store, corner store, and all of the products were ODDSOX. Yes, cut to the footage. It looks great. Shout out to ODDSOX. Use that promo code. Support our family. All right, oddsocksofficial.com. Promo code Bootleg and save some money. And get some socks, man. Thank me later. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I saw you say don't ever use AI to replace your gifts.
Exactly.
And I think that, like you said, in the same way, financial literacy, it's I think purposefully not taught in public schools, to be honest, which is I think interesting. But like, it is kind of like it's a world that's inevitable. Mm-hmm. So you might as well learn it. You might as well learn how to use Claude. You might as well learn how to, because there's nothing like it's like how the internet was 30 years ago. It's like, get on board or or
get involved. You know, it's the same thing with any particular process. Like when you the people that are against AI, a lot of them don't understand it enough and haven't done enough research to be effectively against it. Right? Because if you are illiterate in something, it's your ignorance, right, that is your position. But when you do it from a place that you're knowledgeable, now you can say, well, I can participate in regulating it, right? I can participate in teaching other people how to master it so that it doesn't master them, right? Because the machines will control you if you don't control them. It's inevitable.
And it's like almost like made for, just like a lot of things, like you said with the PIS syndrome. It's like, if you are somebody who could barely survive, you're taking public transit to work, you're working 2 jobs, you're worried about getting your kids to school, you're worried about if they're at school while you're at work, you're not worried about learning this shit.
Not at all.
And that's by design.
You don't even have the time to.
You don't have the time to. So it's like, those are the people. And I do think that there's been this.
Or you have not got to a point where you're calm enough to manage your time. Right, for those things, because poverty also makes you blind to the future. Because all you can focus on is what's in front of you.
Yeah, how do I get rent by next week?
Exactly. So like you in such a survival state that, poverty, I look at it as an illness. Right? Like I think that money can help remove the blockades towards your happiness. I don't think it directly buys it, but I know poverty never buys it.
Right. And would you say that, because obviously there's certain economic things that people can't immediately control, but do you think that's more of also an outlook that you can control? Like maybe you aren't in the most financially astute place, but that shouldn't reflect maybe your attitude.
Oh no, it definitely shouldn't. You don't. There was this.
That's something you can control.
There was this interview with Oprah and what was one of these authors? This author, I think this might be the one who did Harry Potter or something.
Okay.
But they made like $1 billion.
Probably.
And she said over from Oprah, and she was like, I still have this fear that one day I lose it all and go broke. And she said, do you get that as well? And Oprah looked at her and said, no, I knew I'll always be rich. I'll never go broke, right? And it's a shift where you got two different people, right? One that don't feel completely like they deserve it. Like your identity hasn't shifted to what you deserve and what you have. And it gets to a point where you get to some money and you say that, no, I'm always going to be rich. You make it your normal, right? And the people that become rich is because they also think that they deserve it. Right. They think that you become delusional. Your mind starts to align your reality to your own beliefs, right? You talk to people like you deserve it. And those people are infected with your belief and they think you deserve it as well. You start to mimic the things that rich people do and you say that this is my identity. So it doesn't matter how poor you are. It really matters if you have a poor imagination and a sense of self-worth, right? Because if you think that you deserve to be poor, if you think that you're supposed to stay in the survival state, right, then you will always stay there. Now you feel like a survivor with money, right? Versus I feel like I'm a rich man. But what does that mean to you? Because if you connect money to negative things, right, now you're going to make sure that you don't have money because money is associated with something that you don't think is good, right? And so you actually have to create your own self-definitions and you have to change your identity at every level of life, right? Otherwise, you're going to get what you think you deserve subconsciously, and you're going to get rid of it. You with somebody who you think is better than you, you're going to be insecure. You're going to end up fulfilling a self-fulfilling prophecy. And now you're like, man, I knew she wasn't nothing. Knew he wasn't nothing. Right. No, that's because you was thinking that way that you produced that. Right? Like whatever you get, you have to feel you deserve. And I think that, you know, it goes beyond just like attitude. But when we start talking about save yourself, you know, it's the way to where you can participate in redistributing wealth towards you before the system is ever going to do it. Because we don't live in a socialist economy. And maybe there could be a political movement that changes that in the future. But the current reality that we have is, let me see things for as they are. And let me see how I exist in this system. And what can I do to navigate to put myself in position, right? You have to be completely optimistic and delusional about who you are, right? And where you're going. And you have to believe that every single day. It's like being a character in the game. Right? Like, do I want to dress myself in poverty every single day? Or do I want to dress myself as somebody from the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I act? And I ain't even talking about like somebody just like code switching or shit like that. No, it's like when I walk in a room, I got a level of confidence that even if I'm talking to a billionaire, my perspective is valuable because this is something that he can't buy. Right? So what is my value in that situation? Is being me. Right? And then when you start using your imagination, never use it to imagine something negative. So the most of the reasons that we have a negative outlook on even technology itself is because most people ain't grow up on Star Trek. You understand me? Most people grew up on Terminator and they grew up on Matrix and movies that give you a negative outlook of the future. Right. So right now, the technology...
Which might be on purpose.
It is. And it goes for twofold. Like you're incentivized to make these horror movies because people want to watch them more. Right. People are not watching just tech optimistic views of the future. Right.
Everything is like the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Like we grew up poor, so I watched Star Trek a lot. It was one of the only channels I had. I was watching Star Trek Voyager and I realized like on there they was creating just like 3D food. Right? When I'm young, I thought it was the coolest shit in the world. It looked like a microwave and they can press anything they want and it'll just make it. And when you poor and you hungry, like that's the best invention on the planet. Now they talking about creating 3D meat and food and I think it's the worst thing. Right? And so there's something that happens along that journey to where you think about the people who own it. You think about Monsanto. You think about greedy billionaires. You no longer enthralled with technology like as this thing that enhances life. Right? Because the reality of it is there are people starving every single day. So when you see an invention, you would be like, oh, that's going to help save people. But no, now we start thinking about the political nuance, the lack of farmers, right? The lack of ownership, the lack of good crops, right? Or even lack of agricultural intelligence whatsoever within our communities, which is the whole other AI, our lack of land ownership, and then our food deserts that we have. Then we talk about nutrition, forever chemicals within our blood and plastics. So you go to a real dark place. Right. And all of that is associated. Yeah. So media, I think, is the most powerful thing in this whole scenario. If you can create movies and you have conversations and podcasts that is giving you a optimistic outlook of the future, that's what your mind imagines. That imagination is fed so healthily that you start falling in love with the future. Most people ain't in love with the future.
Now they're scared of it.
No. So therefore, if you about to go meet somebody that you're afraid of, man, you reject that idea. You're going to stall trying to get there as much as possible.
100%.
So I call it like falling in love with the future, romanticizing it, if you will, right? Like when you think about your life, are you in love with next year? Are you in love with 10 years out from now? Or do you have a negative outlook based on your reality that's existing?
Have you, because I feel like the AI thing, like you said, it's very, I feel like there has been like this billionaire class that has always kind of like, I mean, and I think every single party, you know, obviously Kamala had more billionaires donate to her campaign than Trump did, but it feels like this Trump administration has kind of like ushered in like the tech oligarchs.
Oh yeah,
like
tech feudalism.
Unapologetically.
Yeah.
You know, you think about like who's donated to this fucking ballroom, and you know, Peter Thiel funded J.D. Vance's entire political career, and now he's in the White House. Do you feel like because it is if you pay too much attention to the news cycle, you could trick yourself into becoming like really hopeless.
Yeah.
What are the ways you think that like AI could be applied? Like if somebody is like, look, I'm struggling, I got 2 or 3 jobs. What is the AI angle for that person to maybe implement on a daily basis, or something that they could use a Claude for or a Chat GPT for? I mean, I think, you know, look, building an app. If you got an idea, you can build an app in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
You know, there's things you could do, but I think like it does feel like we're in a place where if you pay too much attention to the news, like you said earlier, there's just so much shit every day that you could either get lost in it or you could psych yourself out. My radio show producer is like mentally, he gets in dark places over the Trump shit.
Yeah.
But like for those people that are like in that spot where like they're like, I mean, like you said, man, they're thinking about next week. They're not thinking about next year. What are those kind of bright spots that they could use some of this tech for, and what would be the advice you'd give them to kind of change their outlook?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, every day I see people in my own family using it for different things. You know, my first use case for AI is a thinking partner, right? And essentially it's not replacing your thinking, right? I think what most people are missing in their life is clarity, right? They don't know themselves. They can't afford some person. And I ain't talking about like even just a therapist. A lot of people are using it for therapy. I wouldn't suggest that. I would use it for more so, you know, researching things so you can understand maybe what's happening with you, but not just over self-diagnosing yourself with all these issues and problems.
Right.
Because I think then that becomes a new identity trend.
And it feels like sometimes ChatGPT will kind of lean in.
Oh, ChatGPT is what they call a sycophant.
Yeah, it like leans into whatever you want it to do.
Yeah, it be pimping. It's going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand me? So it can keep using you, and you can keep using it, and you get caught in this rotation. So that's why I say a thinking partner is number one, right? Where I want to use it to do research at a level that you would have never been able to get in your life, right? So if you're a dad and, you know, you want to start a company, right? What time do you have to go do the proper research so that you have a co-founder that's helping you set up this business, right? Because you may not know how to start a company. You may not know how to do marketing. You may not know how to do branding. You may not have nothing to do with design, taste, sourcing, etc. Right? So I think the first use case is sitting through and number one, asking yourself why you want to get this done.
Right.
Right. And you would essentially do is set up an interview with the AI. So you would take a prompt and you'd be like, listen, here's what I want to do. I want you to interview me and take me through like 100 different questions, right? So a lot of people that do this and they will find out they have a particular skill that they could turn into a digital product, right? So after you go through this interview, then you essentially are creating a ebook or a digital product and you start learning your positioning, right? So let's say somebody that's sitting here and they're a producer and they do a manager, you got your editor back here. He sits there and says, I want you to take me through 100 questions on my framework on how I do editing. So now once you have that down, you can then go on social media and start teaching it. Once you start teaching it and you have your framework, now people saying that, man, would you teach me? You start picking up clients, right? I've done that and I know other people who've done this as well, where you're literally just learning what is your skill, what is your value, what is your gift. Then we start studying our cognitive types. Like, what is the way that you think? I think the biggest process that people have to go is learning, not learning, but unlearning, right? Because in school, you were taught to be.
I have a book up here called Unlearning somewhere.
Yeah.
Right here.
Unlearning is the key to the future.
Yeah.
You understand me? Because that's how you evolve. Like when you were in school started to, especially during the industrial economies, to make people, of course, workers. And that worker meaning that I need you to be a specialized skill along this wheelhouse, right? So you the person that packaged it, you twist the bottle, you turn into this, you turn to this, you turn to this. So each person became specialists.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know that you will be working in an industry inside that economy.
Yeah, we were creating a class of manufacturers.
Exactly.
Factory workers.
We became factory thinkers, right? So we need a factory reset. Because what you're trying to do now is get into creativity and think like an entrepreneur, but you don't know how to manage yourself. Because you were never taught that the way that you analyze patterns and things of that nature was valuable. Because when you go into a school and a child doesn't want to sit in a class because they don't want to sit through an hour lesson, that's not a bad thing. It just may not capture their interest, or it may not be their learning type. Right? They may see a pattern and they may question a teacher, and that teacher will be like, don't question it, just get it done. But they may just recognize patterns for things to get done better. They may be a systems thinker.
Right.
But when you go to a job, your manager don't want to hear that shit. I need you to
Facts.
complete a task within this time and then get it done.
Facts.
And so now you have people that are waiting to be told what to do next. So when they get on ChatGPT, they're asking ChatGPT to tell them what to do. This becomes dangerous because you then start offloading. It's called cognitive offloading, to where you then start giving your mind away to ChatGPT and you stop developing that muscle to think for yourself. So before I tell people to use AI, I want you to understand how it could also use you and understand how sophisticated these tools are. So use it as a thinking partner to where you're always making the final decision.
Right.
AI is just presenting you information and data, like if people work for you, and now you're reflecting on, okay, what's the best pathway, A, B, C, or D, right? And so now you got to think of it like you have world-class experts inside your pocket at any single time for any dream that you want to create in your life. If you got a child and you want to understand how to create a curriculum for them so that you can teach them, I don't know, marketing, if you will, right? Now you can sit down with that child and you can turn that into a story lesson. You can turn that into a coloring book, right? You can do whatever you want to. I know people that's sat down and they created children's books, and then that became viral, and then they made $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 from it, right? With AI companies even partnering with them, right? So it's like, it's more so about what's your dream? What is something that you want to get done?
Right.
And a problem for a lot of people, they stopped dreaming a long time ago, right? Like we start looking at reality. We stop using our imagination. So it shouldn't be, I don't want to tell people what to do, because when you tell them what to do, they need you to tell them the next thing to do as well, right? Like we do AI hackathons, but we're essentially just showing you how to build out these AI agents that exist that can help you build out your dream. But if you don't have no dream, then the AI ain't nothing for you.
Right.
Right. But use it as a research company so that every single day you can go in there and you can learn new things. I use it to automate calendars. I use it to automate my emails every single day.
That's what I use. I use it to write my. I have like Claude that just writes invoices every month.
And I get it
Sends
to
them
where
out.
every day I get a brief. That brief is giving me the most interesting things that I want. It's telling me about AI, showing me, giving me some information about the news. It may give me some information about what's going on in the cosmos on a daily basis, right? It might let me know what's going on in the stock market. That just saved me time, and I'm just telling it what sources that I think are credible that I want to learn from, the way that I want to get my information given to me, why it's important, right? And then the more I'm feeding it information on my brand, here's content ideas that I think will be good based on your positioning, right? In the way that you can frame it. And so now every single day, instead of me having to think about those things, I save time, I save money.
Do you have multiple AI agents that?
Yes.
Because I haven't gotten to that point, but I see like on X and shit, there'll be like a dude with like 3 Mac Minis.
Uh-huh.
Does each agent need its own computer?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So you can operate the agents in the cloud, or you can operate them locally, right? So I had this, when I was out in Philly, I was giving Meek Mills this breakdown because he's been big in AI.
I've been seeing his tweets.
Yeah. So I sent him a couple
Shout
of
out
my
to
prompts.
Meek too, man.
Yeah.
I feel like he be getting a bad rep, but he be saying some real shit.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers be on his
He
head,
got that
though.
tour, so he just go say what's on his mind
Yeah.
without filtering it. You feel me? But we had a good conversation just about technology and the culture in the future. And one of the things was using a local model. So what most people don't know is actually you can gain free AI access. So you don't have to go pay for ChatGPT or Claude, right? Because most of the time, China has open source models. So open source meaning that the code is open. You can literally take that and you can download it on this part of your computer called the terminal, right? Inside the terminal is essentially like the back end of your computer. You can upload that free software and now you have a full AI that's only working for you. It's customized for you. It's learning you over time. Now they do have agents. So most of the ones that people know about is Hermes, and the other agent is a Claude agent. But then Claude has agents inside of their premium tier model to where they will spawn up multiple agents for you.
Yeah, it's like there's the code side.
Right.
There's all these different.
One that can do sales.
Right.
Right. One that can do marketing. One that can do branding. One that can do research. One that is about taste. One that can spawn up websites. Right. And then you can have one that's managing all of these as well. Then one that's checking their work, one that's making sure that there's no security leaks in between everything, that's auditing. Like, you're essentially saying, what employees that I want to hire and how do I turn these AI workers into my employees? So instead of prompting now, they call it loops. So when you do one prompt, how do you make that happen every single day to where it turns into a loop, right? So therefore,
So you
you're
don't
not
have to
going
be on
every day
top
and
of it.
prompting.
Right.
Yes. So think about the tasks that you do every day, and I want you to write them down. Once you write them down, I want you to then go into the AI, and then I want you to turn that into a loop so that you don't have to do that every single day.
So what would be practical terms? So let's say someone has Claude or ChatGPT.
Content. So everybody wants to be a content creator. Everybody is a content creator. They have what they call an MCP, which is basically...
By the way, is there one of those two that you prefer to use?
No, because they're always competing.
Okay.
Claude just had a model called Mythos that and it was under the Mythos model was one called Fable that you were able to use. But they discontinued it because they said it was too powerful, and the government said that they couldn't allow people to have it. Foreign adversaries and other people to have it. And there's a lot that goes on into that story.
By the way, kind of like the only semi-ethical thing I've seen an AI company do was Anthropic say, nah.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like...
Some of this stuff, man, is very interesting because I think they building up a lot of myth and lore around it. And I always think, every time I get a new model, I always think it's the old model in the future.
So so it doesn't matter if you use ChatGPT, Claude, just whatever, whatever your preference is at the time.
Now, some people would say that Claude has less footprint and a little more ethical, right, in their use. But if you're talking about effectiveness, you have Codex, which is ChatGPT's model for coding. So if you want to do vibe coding to where you just giving it English language and you telling it what to build, it will go through that full process of building out an application, building out a website, helping you do research, creating images, videos, etc. Right? You can edit inside Claude as well. Yesterday, I just did a really good hookup where they have something called Remotion. You can take those clips and you can edit clips inside Remotion. Right?
Which clips? Like
clips like this from
let's
your
say
video.
We have a podcast.
Yeah, you can upload those clips inside Remotion. There's a couple other connectors on there that you can put in, but once you have it set up, and I'll give you the prompt. Once you have it set up, you can actually have the Claude, and you'll put it all the way on max. And when you should put it on max, I forget what it's called, but they actually spawn multiple agents that's working on it at once. So what this means is that, let's say you want it to be your video editor, right? What it does is it'll go in there, and instead of one agent working on it on behind the scenes, it might have 100 agents working on multiple tasks all at once to get it done faster. One might be checking the code. One might be checking the link that you just sent. One might be actually doing the code and making sure it works. One might be running the security on it. All these are happening simultaneous, right? But this is in the Claude like max plan that you get. To simplify it, though, it's just saying that you get it to a point where you can just upload a video and say, bring me out some of the most viral clips, and it'll get it done, just like these AI apps that's doing it for you.
Yeah, I've used the Opus clip, and it's still very imperfect.
Yeah, because you really want to get it to the point where, like, what's your framework for finding clips in the first place?
Yeah, I think I have my guy, and I just trust my guy Cook.
Yeah.
And he just chops everything up, and there's just something about having the human touch and
the
understanding
human
the
touch
nuance
always gonna be there. That's in the review style. When it comes to the editor, like I'll sit with a team, and I was training them yesterday on this. It's more so about them being able to get it done faster and get it done more efficiently.
Right.
Like, so if it takes you, 3 hours to get something done, now how can we figure out how to cut that down into 1 hour?
Yeah.
Now you can spend more time on the creative, right? Because
now you can put more flair into the videos,
right,
more
exactly,
as opposed to, okay, I need 10 clips. Well, what if
I'm trying to get you to stop doing machine-like tasks.
Because the AI can technically clip your shit out, or at least give you an idea of what could be clipped, and then you could go and use.
Well, you could use Descript. Descript have a MCP, which is basically a connector to whatever AI service you're using, and then from there, Descript will edit your clips out. So you say, listen, give me all the clips where 19 Keys was talking about AI. And then in the first 8 words of every sentence he was talking about described exactly the next sentence, right? So therefore, it'll go in there, find those clips and tell you why. Now, from there, you can actually change which models you're using. So you might want to put it on Claude Opus 4.8, which is a stronger model that has thinking. So it has a logic of why it's doing it. It's not just guessing. And you can actually look at the logic and why it's choosing this clip. And let's say once you read that and you like, okay, y'all picked this clip because you thought it was going to be viral, but then you go in there and give it your reasoning on why that wasn't a good clip. So therefore you're training it to become better.
To be more, more like you,
Yeah. So now when you drop an hour video in there, and if you can set up a workflow to where it goes in there, it stitches, it reviews, it color grades, it checks the sound, audio, right? Then it pulls you a clip. You might get to a point where you take raw video, soon as it's done, lines up the audio with the video, and then create you a clip within an hour, right? That process sometimes with an editor can take days depending on their workload if they're working individually just for you. Right. So when we start talking about content, if you using something like Higgsfield, which they have something called supercomputer, which is like you can do marketing, branding, content creation, you could do animation, you can do almost anything on the back end there. And that's because the average person wouldn't be able to afford all these things if they tried to pay for them all.
100%.
So this is why I'm not mad at AI, because most people can't afford to have, when you start talking about branding, you start talking about business, how can we democratize access to taste? So where all they have to focus on is their taste level, and then the skill can be done by the machine. The human side is the output.
It's getting the taste down that matters the most.
Yeah. Now, there's some companies that's even trying to automate taste, which I don't think is possible.
Right.
Because once you do that, then everybody has the same, right? And then it's no longer tasteful.
And then nothing's unique. Everyone's got the same style of clips.
Exactly.
There's nothing that makes your shit different.
But I think there's like some things you don't want it to do. You don't want it to write for you. Right. You always want to be the human in the process. And maybe that's 70% human, meaning that I'm the one doing most of the research, doing the review, but what part of the process can you have AI do?
Yeah, it's almost like if you're an editor and you were smart enough, and I don't want to say smart enough, but if you applied yourself to learning this shit the right way, you could scale your business. If you were just like a freelance editor, you could build out a real fucking real business and say, hey, I want to edit clips for 30 different everybody who does podcasts needs clips, radio stations need content clips, all that shit.
Once you have your system done, you can go hit up small businesses right now, right? And you can go look at who they hiring for. And then once you know what they hiring for, you can create an AI agent and be like, look, I created this for your business. I'd love to take you through this, right? You can go look at small businesses that have ugly websites. You can go redesign those websites and be like, look, I made you a better website and some funnels for your business. I think that it can give you a 20% return, right? And you could do it in a way to where it's like, look, you don't even have to charge them nothing. You can get a cut on a percentage of what it makes them if this thing works.
And it doesn't take you that much. Once you get those systems down, it doesn't take.
Yeah.
I saw, and I don't want to bring up Kevin O'Leary like he's a good, because Kevin O'Leary's a piece of shit in my opinion. But I did see his whole thing was like, he was like, if I had to restart from nothing at zero right now, I would teach businesses how to build AI agents.
Yeah.
That would be I would just go all in on that. I would go to small businesses. I would teach them how to build out their AI agents. And they would pay me a fee, and I would just scale that.
And that's what we doing. You know what I mean? When we do our hackathons, we teaching you how to set up your first agent so that they can produce a task for you. And our students are already at that point to where the agents are doing stuff for them, and we focus on what's the ROI for when these agents are doing. I don't want you to just make it. I want you to have a specific output in mind, an outcome in mind, so that you can say that this was worth my time and this is worth having within my business.
Right.
But most of the time, you can't do that if you don't understand your business, if you're not writing down the systems and things of that nature. Because then once you have that, you can feed that into the AI. There's I forget what it's called. I thought Steve was in here, but there's this website where you can take the work that you do, and then you can screen record that, and then that screen recording becomes the way that you train your AI agent to work just like you.
So it'll see what you're doing.
Exactly.
To that point.
You're right. So now you got an SOP. So now it understands every step in the process that you take. So every step in that process then turns into a full system. You know what I mean? So, we see that you research here first, then you go check this clip, then you open up this app, then you edit here, then you stitch here, then you do this. Now AI turns that into a transcript to gives a step-by-step. Now that step-by-step, you feed that, and then you go to Claude, and you have that turned into an agent.
Shout out to our brothers at Hardeen, man. Utz family, of course. They've been sponsoring the podcast for years now. You've been seeing the mic flag for years now. Want to give a shout out to our brothers. I just was in Vegas. I had to pull up. All right, look, it's the #1 dispensary in the world. When I tell you, you walk in that thing and the bud tenders are great. They take care of you immediately. The selection is great. So when you go to Vegas, you get into that cab, you get into that Uber, immediately say, take me to Hardeen. They'll know what they're doing. All right, they're going to get you right. All right, the #1 premium cannabis dispensary in the world. They just got me right. I was just in town for Rafi's birthday. Had to pull up, get right. Get this nice little 101 Hardeen jersey. These are not available. All right, shout out to them, man. All right, salute to the family. Follow them on Instagram, Hardeen_Las Vegas. All right, let's get back to the podcast. Do you have... Because I've seen a lot of like 2-hour long YouTube videos breaking down how to learn Claude or whatever. Have you done your own version of? Obviously, you got the hackathon, which is more of like a workshop, I'd assume.
Yeah, so we actually like take people through it. I have my tech guy, Antoine Digital. He's been doing this for the last like 10 plus years. And in those spaces is where we want to make sure that we're not just giving you a video and you're looking online, because information is everywhere. But we're thinking about your specific use case.
Yeah, like what's your use case? What do you got in mind? Let us, yeah.
So our hackathon was making sure that every single person left with a working agent that they can use in their business.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of obviously we were talking earlier about having a positive outlook for the future, but I'm just curious, like, what is your thoughts on, I guess, the world right now? We just got on the other side of this Iran deal that looks like it might be real. I mean, Trump just signed a deal that was written in Farsi, which I thought was a cool flex, by Iran. But it feels like the
Definitely a farce.
It could be, but it feels like the Zionist agenda has been kind of like exposed to a point where the cat's outside of the bag. I don't know if it'll ever go back in the bag.
Yeah.
Which also explains why they're in such a rush to get this greater Israel thing pushed through and to kind of get all of this far right Zionist shit pushed through while they can, because they're losing the youth, they're losing the left, and they're losing a good portion of the right. I mean, I just showed you a video where it feels like J.D. Vance is kind of drawing a line in the sand. And obviously it's all bullshit because he has no spine. But I'm just curious, what are your thoughts just with all that's happening in the world? I mean, we just got on the other side. We've had technically, 2 wars under Trump, and there was the 12-day war, and then we just got on the other side of this Iranian war, and then, there was the shit that happened in Venezuela that was obviously an operation, but, kind of crazy world we're living in.
Yeah. Man, it was one of those questions that there's the things that's outside of our control, and then there's the things that we can control, right? And so I think the way that you make sure that you don't go crazy is you think about the things that you can control, right? Like, as much as we talk about how messed up imperialism is, even white supremacy, within our community, if we really think the enemy is so bad, then how come we don't coordinate more?
Right.
Right? Like, you can think about, who do you think are like black voices that you see are like pro-black right now?
I mean, you're the main one.
I
think of like Charlemagne, Jaylen Brown, Kyrie.
What about on the media side?
Killer Mike, Mark Lamont Hill. Who else am I thinking? I don't know.
Now the question: have you seen us do anything together?
No.
Then the things that we talk about can't be that bad. That's the way I look at it. The world can't be that bad if the people are not organizing.
Well, it's almost like what you said earlier. Like, how is there ever supposed to be a revolution?
Yeah. Well, I just think that we've turned everything into entertainment. Everything is monetizable.
Everything's a meme for sure.
The reason grown men gossip is because the effemination of manhood is monetizable now. Like, you get paid to gossip.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you don't even look at it as a feminine thing, right? Even though historically it was something that was associated, right, with women, right? And so when we think about it, men have always had ways to where we take in information. We just never called it gossiping. Today, men don't mind gossiping, right? Because you can monetize it. So now it's capitalism. Even the way we talk about white supremacy, the way we talk about the world, the way we talk about the problems, it's all just capitalism, because we're all just monetizing on the grievances of the world.
Yeah, I saw the homie Poetic Flacco, who has a really entertaining YouTube channel, but he was showing this Chud the Builder thing went down, and he was showing like the amount of money he made on YouTube talking about Chud the Builder for the month.
Yeah.
And it was like $120,000.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to Flacco, you know.
No, but think about that. So this is nothing is meaningful anymore. It's just money, right? Social media has two main purposes: it's money or messaging. If you have a message, right, that you think is meaningful, or you have a counter narrative to what is the dominant messaging, then you're going to use social media for that. The other one is Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, which are extremely wealthy individuals beyond what we can calculate, right, own these platforms. So anytime we're using these platforms, right, we're benefiting them, right? All of the attention, all the energy that we galvanize on these platforms is theirs to use and convert so that they can grow and get richer and richer and richer, right? So if you're not making money to put resources behind your sovereignty, if you will, right, then it's a waste of time to even use social media if it's not for money or messaging, right? So that's the way I look at it, point blank, period, at this point in time, because it's not social media, it's not interest media, you understand me? It's just capitalism, right? It's about media to make money, 100%. Right? And the way you make money is to get people's attention and convert that attention into a product. It's been commodified, right? So where do we go from here is how do we create more face-to-face experiences for the next generation so they're not stuck on these algorithms? Because I look at the world as being homosocial. It's not that the young generation that we say effeminate or do things that we wouldn't consider to be naturally attributed to manhood, is that number one, they didn't grow up with examples and principles. They grew up with algorithms, right? Like, we stare at celebrities more than we stare at real stars in the sky now. We don't look at the fucking sky anymore.
And we also let streamers live life for us while we watch
90% of streamers ain't talking about shit, ain't about nothing, and they do a lot of rage baiting and gay baiting. We know that happens because they want to convert it.
100%.
Right? But that's all. That means that nothing matters. There's no morals. It's saying that what gets me attention, I will run the script on that, convert that into monetization. So even if somebody slapped the hell out you, somebody going to interview you right after that slap. Yep. And they'll probably pay you for it. Once that's happening, you incentivizing negative behavior. So the question becomes is, what is the coordination layer for the culture that is counter what the current narrative is? So we know what the trajectory and direction of the world that we don't like, but who is willing to be intentional about resourcing, right, a different incentive? So if we're talking about independent media, I think that we are in a great opportunity zone for those who have media platforms to coordinate so that there's a better narrative in messaging. But if there's no intentionality between the thought leader and the celebrity and the wealth manager, right, and the politician, then that's not a culture. It's fragmentation. So my focus is more so about what is the world that we want. We see where the world is going. What's the counter narrative to that, and how do we get there? And I think through coordination and organization is key. Otherwise, we're just monetizing the grievances of the world and where things are going. But hell yeah, I got a positive outlook about the world. You know, I was always taught that the world is mine, and I believe that. Right? Until the day I die. I believe that we are gods, right? I believe in infinite confidence. I believe in maximizing my optimism. I believe in forced redistribution of wealth, right? Through us creating collective sovereignty systems that are interconnected and linked. I believe in us focusing on family offices so that we can take the collective power, right? Because individually, we ain't got no power. I don't care how great somebody sound on the microphone, what their platform is doing, and what announcement that they have. None of that shit matters. What matters is, do they have coordination? We mad at Peter Thiel and the rest of these guys for getting together and coordinating about power. But
yeah, they got like a secret society.
What if you think that's so bad? How come you don't do it? If you think that that's so bad, but you're not willing to do the same for something good, how you consider yourself good? I'm just saying that I just think that a lot of this shit is fake as fuck.
Right.
You understand me? I think that we talk a lot about white supremacy and imperialism and techno-feudalism, but the good guys ain't willing to link up.
Because I feel like some of that is ego, and some of it is everything.
Most of it is fear too.
And also, I also feel like everything has to have a bag attached, low key.
Well, you can get the bag if you're operating collectively.
Right, but I just mean in terms of like, it's hard to get people to operate for the greater good immediately. But like you said, there is a part of fear that is.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's just coordination. Most people, we have the knowledge within our communities. Person become rich, they go get you a white, financial manager for your money. That money is then being flipped into their communities and leveraged inside their community. So even when we are celebrating somebody getting a deal, we never look at, okay, who is behind those deals? Who is their manager? Who's like, when we sat down with Jaylen Brown and he said that he didn't want to get an agent because he didn't want nobody taking their percentage when he can do that himself, where he can set that up within his family. That was intelligent, 100%. Right? Because you then start looking at that infrastructure. Who's the lawyer? Who's the accountant, right? Who's managing the money? Who's taking fees on that? Right? Who's controlling the bank behind all this black celebrity? Every time they get a $30 million deal, okay, but is there a black wealth family office behind that? No. You understand me? So we talk black, but economically, right, our money is circulated and controlled by people that don't look like us. So even if you want to do something good, right, they're going to be like, well, I don't really get fees off if you take money out of my management. I'm not going to get fees off you chasing your dream and doing something for your community. I was 100%. Talking to my brother Keenan Beason, and we was talking about how much money do you think it costs to run a grocery store, just yearly?
I would say probably a few $100,000, depending on how big it is.
$150,000 on the average.
Okay,
right, very small. Now think about all the foundations that these celebrities have. So-called wealthy people have all these foundations. How many of them started a grocery store with just the money that they writing off from their foundation can go to operate?
Yeah, like it can literally just be a tax write-off.
Yeah, so it's not that it can't be done. We're not being intentional about doing it.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too that happens in the music industry, where you'll see artists make decisions that are really good for their management because their management is getting paid.
Yeah. So
like they're going to push them in the direction of, because they don't got to worry about.
Man, they be hoeing them. They don't even think that they can control their own money. They be asking them what they can do with their money.
Right, and it's like, yo, like you signed a shitty deal because your management got paid on the upfront of it, and now you got to recoup.
When a rapper gets a nice deal, okay, who's managing that money?
Right.
He's in a transition phase of now having to be an operator of wealth. Right? If you get $30 million, you got a $30 million company, 100%. Right? Because that money is the business that you now have to manage. Daily I'll go to an office, and not just an office, but I work within a family office called Factory, and we have our Factory Club. It's 68,000 square feet over there by LA. People coming in on a daily basis. I'm learning the real intricacies when you start talking about wealth and management and coordination and organization and way that these business and the world is really ran. It's really easy to be against things when you're ignorant of how they actually work.
Right.
Right. It's easy to destroy things, but we are in an era where we should be focusing on what are we building.
Right.
All right. And the things that we build becomes the institutions, because there's no independent media if it's dependent, right, on somebody else's resources. Now, there's no power if it's individual. Collectively, if I say 19 Keys is going to take his views that he has as a media operator yearly, it don't even matter if it's hundreds of millions. That's still not enough to go 100%. And go get you hundreds of millions of dollars off that. But if I say, let me go in my phone Rolodex of people that I can call, and I got everybody numbered, that's
100%. Somebody
as independent media or in media, and you go gather the top 100 voices and platforms, and collectively we have billions of views, right? Billions or millions and millions of constituents that follow us and fans and viewers every single year. And I take that collective, now you can run a bag for that. Because you go to a company and say, if you ever want inside the culture, same way Revolt ran the model, then okay, give us the bag for it.
Yeah, it's like a collective, everybody gets a piece of the pot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If there's like if somebody wants to come in and, let's say it's Nike or whoever the fuck it is, and they want to tap in with a certain, like you said, tap in with the quote unquote culture, everybody eats off of that.
Yeah, but
And then everybody has to kind of agree on like the morals on who you're going to work with and what the you know.
But these niggas ain't got no morals. Let's be honest.
Well, you and I were talking a little bit last week, and we are kind of talking about like, you know, look, at the end of the day, there's like certain information and there's certain like narratives that are obviously pushed through mainstream media. And as much as like we like to think everyone's kind of waking up to shit, most people who consume information, they consume it on a really surface level basis, right? So it's like whatever the headline might be, whatever they see when they're scrolling on their, you know, commute, or whatever Fox News, CNN might feed you.
Okay.
But if there is a, you know, let's say it's 19 Keys and it's Charlemagne and it's like, you know, this quote coalition of people who have the attention that everybody desperately wants and collectively can kind of push certain, you know, perspectives that aren't being represented accurately, you know, it's powerful.
Mm-hmm. And let's say average person probably won't be able to do good research to figure out if the source of the things that they're talking about is even true, because malinformation, disinformation, and misinformation is a huge issue, you know what I mean, still, because most of the stuff that we're getting is not even real.
Yeah.
So we end up having a conversation on something that's already false.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what perspective we end up gaining, because the root of it is false in the first place.
Right.
But now let's say you got information that's being disseminated amongst those platforms that's fact checking those things.
Right.
So now they can at least have trusted sources, right? Now that's worth the membership, right? That's worth being a part of that just bit of coordination to make sure that we're at least having conversations and reflecting truth. And when something that does come out, because the misinformation warfare and the narrative warfare is only going to spread and get bigger, right? Cognitive warfare, the controlling of how we think, is only going to get worse with AI agents and algorithms. When a person can go create 1,000 pages spawned up in an instant to go spread a narrative, to start seeding these ideas and thoughts all throughout social media strategically, and it feels real, because when you go check one source to take you to another source and another source, you probably done researching, because they set up this rabbit hole in a cadence so that you think it was real in the first place.
Yeah, the bot shit is crazy.
Yeah.
I realized it like when I started getting into it with Drake fans on Twitter, and every single one of their profiles didn't follow anybody.
Yeah. Well, the bot farms are set up pretty easy, man. You go find some offices that's going to have thousands of phones, right? And they're not just spreading just the misinformation, they're seeding it as gossip.
Right.
And the seeding it in these particular places with looking like it's UGC creator content that is organic. Once it reaches a certain threshold, then that's when they push it.
Right.
Then it starts getting picked up, and it's everywhere, so you feel it's real. Right. And I think the problem is that speed is easier to monetize. So when something happens, like with the Chuck the Builder thing, you don't care about accuracy. Right. No, because you feel like I can correct it maybe later on. You really care about, let me be the first to get to the punch so I can get paid.
So you can monetize.
Exactly.
Because the attention and the views will be there immediately.
So there then is, what is the watchdog that makes sure that we're not intentionally being our own oppressors, or unintentionally being our own oppressors, right? And so if we're not being intentional, then we are oppressing each other, because we are not really filtering on what we're saying or what we're doing has a positive impact or not. So if you really don't care, then you can go look at Peter Thiel's secret organization all you want to.
That has people on both sides of the aisle.
Which is, I don't care about them. I care about what's our organization.
Right.
That's all I care. Anytime I see somebody doing something on one side and you got a problem with it, how come you're not doing it on this side? I'll tell you this. Good is slow to organize. Good people that think they're good, it's not the same as people that's evil. Evil people are greedy. So they want it now. Yeah. They're not waiting for it. They're going to get it now. Good is reacting. When injustice happens, that's when we step it in place. Right? And so instead, you have to be vigilant about everything right now. When I look at Africa, Elon Musk is getting to deal with all of these countries over there in Africa to go do Starlink, right? I think that's probably one of the truest values of SpaceX right now in the first place, right? But when he goes set up that Starlink, how much control does he have over the African mind on the continent? When he's setting up in villages and they never had the internet. I sat across from the president. I interviewed him when I went to Uganda, and he had this first podcast with Gen Z, and he did his first podcast ever with me. And before I got up there, Gen Z was asking them, like, what are you going to do about internet access, making sure that we can have more access to data? Because in Africa right now, they're not able to monetize on social media. They don't have a way to tax it and things of that nature, so they don't even have the infrastructure set up for that whole entire creator economy.
That economy, yeah.
But now the average age over there is 19 years old. So what's going to happen to the young people when there's no opportunities, there's no jobs? They're going to revolt. And that's going to put pressure on the government to say, okay, we'll take the deal with Elon. But you don't know what comes along with that, right? Because
now you're getting Elon's internet with Elon's filters.
Exactly. And then the demoralization of your culture.
Yeah.
Because once the internet culture really reaches and y'all got 5G everywhere and you monetizing, right, our current becomes their future. So if you're not putting things in place when it comes to AI to make sure we have trusted models, make sure they learn how to run their own local models and things of that nature, then you have all of these mechanisms in control. That's going to be a level of colonization that they never even understood before.
Yeah.
So I went to the United Nations in Ghana because they was doing their AI adoption out there. And I talked to some of their top scientists. And as I give them a breakdown about cognitive warfare, they did not have an understanding of that, right? And hopefully some of them see some of this right now. And that's kind of why I'm passionate about it, because I see the next redlining here for us, and I see the next digital neocolonialism that happens through AI, and it looks like advancement, but it's a Trojan horse. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he became a trillionaire, because I look at it like this. When we on these platforms and he became an influencer CEO, Tesla was going up thousands of dollars, up to like $5,000. And it wasn't a logical reason why, in my opinion, right? But it was because he was using the algorithm to push Dogecoin. He was pushing Bitcoin. He was pushing crypto. And he like, wait a minute, nigga, I can tweet out things and move markets. But when you are somebody that understands systems, you say, okay, what's the real value here? If my stock is not going up for earnings, my stock is not going up from something I'm doing, it's because I am using this social media platform, so attention is the most valuable thing. So let me just buy, instead of being a passenger, right, let me buy the whole vehicle. And when I think he bought Twitter at a time where everybody was saying $44 billion was a bad deal, he understood that no, attention is the only thing that will matter in the future.
Best buy ever.
So if I buy this,
Yeah.
then I can become a trillionaire. And he did.
Then you control the, you know, I think people don't understand, like, stocks are, they're sold on sentiment.
Yeah, public sentiment is controllable.
Sentiment is like obviously, like, yeah, profitability, all that, but there's a reason why, you know, Nvidia earnings will come out and they'll be great, and then the day that they drop, the fucking stock drops because
100%.
people take their profits.
Right. And there's multiple factors that go into that public sentiment and how it's affected.
What do you think about, I saw you say SpaceX IPO, there's new money in the streets. Obviously, I think it's hovering around 200. I want to say it came up, was it $1.50? Did it debut
went
around
up. I don't
150?
have a top number on top of my head.
But what are your thoughts on, like, SpaceX I mean, obviously, I think Elon, I want to say he has a deal that further incentivizes him to make more money, because I think his exit deal that he signed with Tesla was he had to, I think his portion had to be like $1 trillion or something just to get out of Tesla. Did you see that? That was like earlier this year.
Yeah.
So now there's SpaceX. I do think Starlink is probably like the most valuable of all of these companies if you really think about like the scalability of it. But what do you think about SpaceX as an investment and just in general, like?
Well, it's going up because I think only 4% is being traded right now, right? The rest is still locked up. So everybody, like at Factory, when I was around the table when they got allocation towards SpaceX early, right? So people that was in Factory Club was able to invest in SpaceX before it goes to market.
Wow.
Right. So that investment, and a lot of people don't get into what they call alpha deals or private deals, right? Which is where the real money is made in the private markets. But if we're looking at the public markets, we're looking at retail traders are looking at 4% of Tesla stock or SpaceX stock being traded. The rest is locked up for whatever period that Elon has set. I forget how much it was. But you're then going to see people start selling some of that because right now they may be paper billionaires. Paper once sent to millionaires, but they want to go buy cars. They want to go goddamn buy yachts, and they want to go then and go invest in companies that they believe in, that they probably already writing checks to.
Put some more in the video.
Exactly. And that's when you're going to see movement within the stock. Right. But at the same time, I think that we're in untold territories just as far as where the world is right now. Right. And the moves that Elon is going to be making and how he's leveraging whatever this SpaceX thing is. You got to remember his dream was to create an everything company, X. Right. And he's packaging all of these companies up. The question becomes, is it too big to fail? Right. Like if Elon Musk died today, what would happen with SpaceX? You know, because the company is heavily dependent upon him. But then the question that I think is greater is anytime you have a massive wealth event like this, it lets you know the direction where wealth is going, right? Robotics, AI, tech, space. Yeah. Because the rest of the wealth is, you know, looking at this is what works. This is what has worked. Now, how do we get similar same results as well? People don't want him to be the only trillionaire. You know what I'm saying?
No. It's funny because now that he's kind of kicked that door down.
Yeah.
There's going to be another, I would say in the next 5 years, there'll be another one.
Yeah, I think that we're entering into untold territories, and I think that people have to be willing to open their imagination up. Sometimes you can use cycles, right? So some people will look at the fundamentals of the company. Company has no earnings. So you already, right, got a company that's trading 100-time multiple with no earnings. You got $1 trillion goddamn trillionaire with no earnings from SpaceX.
Yeah, for sure. It's an idea. I mean, obviously it's a company, but it's the proof of concept is very limited.
Self-landing rockets and all that. Yeah. I don't care about them. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is that I think that you are looking at a new playbook. You're looking at a completely new world, and you have to be willing to open your mind to even understand that some of the previous cycles you can't use to address what this current cycle is. Crazy things can happen. People weren't looking at Bitcoin as it would have ever gotten to where it is around 60,000, and it got up to 120,000.
Yeah, it was $120. Yeah.
They thought that was impossible because every thing that they had in the textbook that told them that it wasn't going to work, they were using, and they were wrong, right? Altcoins, they went up skyrocket, made people all kind of millions. Yeah. People never seen them kind of returns. Next thing you know, you start seeing the stock market perform like the crypto market, right? The question becomes is there going to be a stock that's a Bitcoin, right? If there's a closest one to it, maybe SpaceX, but then how long can the market sustain not being connected to reality?
Yeah, because it's right now it's sentiment, strictly sentiment and vibes, and buzz.
And then you got the new markets that's going to be coming. Of course, all of this longevity and health and biotech sciences, and then you got quantum, right? And so I think that the world is going to, as things are progressing.
Quantum computing, for people who don't know, is like, it's supposed to be I want to say, is China ahead of us on the quantum computing?
You got China, you got Israel is doing some stuff in quantum, China doing stuff with fusion and quantum, but then you got Microsoft. You got all these different companies that's in quantum. Quantum is still, it's like a world race right now.
Right. It's still very much in the infantile.
Because NVIDIA is like compressing all of the requirement of having so much data and putting it in these small chips. It's going to get to a point where you can run you can run a full AI model on your computer, right? That would have, let's say it took a whole multiple computers to run this, where everybody's going to get the Mac minis to run AI agents. Well, it gets to a point where you can run that on your computer and everybody has a personal AI agent. But then it's going to get to a point where when you can connect them to quantum plus AI, then you're going to go into security. Because it's at the point where quantum going to be able to crack the Bitcoin. Yeah. Right? How you going to be able to secure anything, right? So there are some cryptos and even stocks out there that's thinking about solving this problem, but I don't think it's fully solved until really the threat becomes, imminent. Because these AI are already good at doing it, right? Without them being connected to that quantum side. So I think we're going to go into a real sci-fi type world. You know what I mean? And I don't think nobody owns the future.
Do you still think NVIDIA's underpriced?
No. I think, though, NVIDIA may be misunderstood still. Like, the way they're creating chips is they're using AI to create chips at such a small level, right? Like, they got the laser lithography. They got these small where it's almost like they're doing engineering science on cells, the way they're creating chips, right? And I think all of AI and a lot of this tech in the future has the black box problem, where they know the outcome it can produce, but they don't know how it's actually working, right? And a lot of these companies are like that. But the question ain't even really like, that company is already a $1 trillion company.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about the stock. Like, I wonder if I just think like there's so many of these, like, you know, there's like AMD, there's Micron, and I feel like every time I think like, okay, do I sell? It'll go back down to like $1.90, $1.80. I'll tell you, the real come up was when it was like $92 last year.
Yeah. But I think that, again, this is just me. This is an opinion more than anything. Yeah. But when I look at stock prices right now, right, when you have a trillionaire, the gap between the poorest person and the richest person, right, has changed.
Never been greater.
So even from the gap between, again, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk is this huge gap.
Crazy.
That has to be filled.
Yeah.
Right? And people now, the trajectory is how do we fill that gap from the richest? Mm-hmm. Because now capitalism has a new mark. Right? And I think we're going to get a crazy ass world that comes out of that pursuit and ambition to become the next trillionaire. Right? And companies to become $10 trillion companies and $100 trillion companies. Then when you ask what are stock prices anymore? These are empires that you're investing in. These are not companies.
What companies would you bet on to become those $1 trillion companies?
Some of them may not even be on the radar yet, but I would just say the ones that, you say $1 trillion companies.
Well, you said, you said.
They already exist. The $1 trillion companies exist.
10 trillion is what you said. So
well, I mean,
I guess in that race.
I would look at the ones that's already $1 trillion companies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're only going to get more powerful.
How does Meta get more powerful?
Because they just buy up everything.
Right.
Right? Like, Elon just bought a company under SpaceX. Right? When you got $1 trillion, you got all the leverage in the world. You got infinite money. Yeah. So they're too big to fail at this point because you invent something that could be competitive to that, and they just buy you out. There's a patent that just popped up somewhere. They just bought that patent that would have took their company out. Right? Once you become these empires, again, fuck companies. These are empires.
Yeah.
Right? These are huge techno-feudalist empires. And we keep treating them like they companies because we're investing in them as if this is still just a regular stock market.
It's like a much larger scale of what Amazon's been doing to like small sellers on their site for years. Like Amazon will see like a small seller with like a product that works, and it'll be getting sold on their site, and then they'll just steal it and make it.
Yeah. and they will do a documentary in an interview about it, because when you do something like that and the people behind it want people to know they did it. Like, yeah, I did it.
Right.
Maybe not the best thing for the world, but I did it.
Yeah.
Right? But who cares, because what you going to do?
Yeah.
That documentary comes out, nothing changes. Amazon gets bigger.
What are your thoughts? I've been seeing Jay-Z get some negative feedback, which I thought was a little unfair, for doing an exclusive drop with Target, which I feel like every rapper does.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Kendrick exclusive vinyl from Target.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess, do you feel like a guy like Jay-Z has like a greater responsibility to the cause, if you will, or?
I think it's interesting. I've been kind of marinating on that one because I didn't know J. Cole and Kendrick had did the Target exclusive stuff during the boycott, right? I'm with any boycott. That's kind of how I'm at. You feel me? Like, if we want to boycott anybody that does something negative to the black community, and black community says we boycotting them, I don't even need to know the reason why, for real. I'm just with it.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so Jay-Z is a capitalist. I don't think he's ever made apologies for being a capitalist. And I think the problem is that we keep trying to put people in categories, right, that they're not in. Jay-Z is not some person that's sacrificing money for morals. He says that he a billionaire.
I'm a businessman.
You understand me? He is a black Republican. He is a billionaire. And he uses that as his moniker for his identity of who he is.
Right.
Right? He tell people, y'all looking at the wrong charts. Don't look at me as a black man and a rapper. Look at me as a capitalist billionaire.
Yeah.
So if you're judging those moves, for him, he's being successful because he's making the moves that is aligned with the identity that he has said that is the one that is most important to him.
Yeah, he hasn't told you anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, so when people tell you who they are, believe them. I think that the people keep getting like, it's just weird that we act surprised every time something happens, right? He put Kendrick Lamar on the Super Bowl. We love the Super Bowl, but then we had a conversation. We hate the fact that Jay-Z is the one that's heading it because of the thing that happened with Kaepernick.
Yeah.
But then Kaepernick took the easy route out and went and got a check too.
And sign the NDA.
That's what I'm saying. So again, I think a lot of the outrage be fake. The strategies be ineffective, and the people are disorganized, right? And so a lot of this stuff just don't matter, right? Like what Jay-Z is doing, if you're supporting it, right, then it matters. If you're not supporting it, go about your day.
Right.
Stop giving everything more attention. It only helps.
Yeah, not everything needs to be a thing, because there's so many things that should be a thing.
Yeah. There was people that didn't know that Jay-Z was dropping that Target thing, that are fans of Jay-Z. And then when they seen that, oh, thank you for letting me know. Now I'm about to go buy it.
100%. I'm one of those guys.
That's
I bought
what I'm saying. You got to understand the way attention works. That's why, like, some things I just don't talk about at all unless I want to bring attention to it.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much shit to be outraged about in the world today that, like, yo, man, let's just talk about, like, how many kids died in Lebanon this week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or just by what we organizing and building.
Yeah. Or let's keep on bringing up the Epstein files, please.
The world is not all negative.
Right.
Right. And if we do that, we become nihilistic. We burnt out from hope of the future.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's dangerous. I don't think it's like online, we like to shame people to try to get them to change. Psychologically, we learn that doesn't work. It gets people to do the opposite. They start defending the person who they are. Right. And so we have these tactics, and we think that they're beneficial and effective, and a lot of times they have the opposite effect. So my frustration is, the movement that doesn't actually have real direction to it. And anytime somebody positions themselves as a so-called voice or leader, they will be attacked as well. So then you reposition to figure out what's the best strategy to be the most effective.
Yeah.
Most of the work I'm doing right now behind the scenes, right? I'm not even putting it out there.
Right.
Because who cares? I don't need no more followers. I don't even want no more followers. If you've been locked in with me over the last 10 years was enough time to discover me. You understand me? I'm sure I done found the people I'm supposed to fellowship with. Those are the people I want to build with. In my phone, I probably got billions of dollars in it. I need to figure out how to organize that. I need time to think about meaningful movements that create real impact in institutions that can last over time. When I announce something, I'm announcing it because it's already real. I'm not waiting for nothing. You know what I mean? Anybody that wants to support me and invest in what I'm doing and have done, cool, we align. What goes into the world? The only reason I'm talking about the world is so I can monetize off of it and get more resources into what I'm doing. But I wholly believe that 99% of the conversations we have on an internet that is 90% ran by robots is meaningless.
That's some real shit. What is your perspective on Zohar Mamdani, who's obviously seemingly having a pretty successful...
Assalamu alaikum. You know what I'm saying? Mamdani. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad they got their first Muslim Ugandan president.
And like...
And New York been winning since.
And maybe like the first real success case for like a democratic socialist.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all should have been put a Muslim up there. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He an African Muslim.
It's such you can never
I like anything that piss people off, man.
Oh, it's the best.
When them piss them people off, man, I be for it.
Oh.
When I seen them call Michelle Obama a man, y'all don't like Michelle Obama? What didn't I do like her? You know what I mean? I'm anti with y'all anti.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, or I'm pro with y'all anti. Like, that's how I am. If the enemy don't like it, then I'm rocking with you.
100%.
But if you favored by the enemy, then fuck you.
Yeah.
You understand me? And Mamdani, I think, you can't get to a point where you just want to over criticize and look at every detail of a politician and figure out why something doesn't work. Meaningful movements most of the time are connected politically, right? Tesla and Figueroa always talk about organizing. I believe in organizing. There's a lot of people that's doing meaningful things. And I say, let the thing play out. Because what you get with people like him is somebody that's willing to do the thing that everybody else wouldn't do.
Yeah, I think it's important that it works because it can show if it can work in New York.
Yeah.
It can work.
Just hold them to fire. That's all.
100%.
Once somebody is elected, that's not the time to be their friend.
Yeah.
That's the time to hold them to their word.
Like we were talking a little bit about the LA mayoral race, and it got to I mean, obviously now it's Nithya Raman and Karen Bass, but it looked like it was going to be Spencer Pratt and Karen. Yeah. But it's like there's like as awesome as New York feels from far away.
Yeah.
LA feels hopeless. But
we ain't dissatisfied enough in California to get that kind of change.
Like people aren't uncomfortable enough.
No. Even with, I would say you should be, but New York has been through so much. You understand me? And so that dissatisfaction level rang to a fever pitch the same way America did to get Obama and Donald Trump.
Yeah,
right.
Trump is a result of that, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say, Trump is a result of that.
But when you got somebody that understands social media, they understand the pain points of the people. They can speak to that directly, right? They can also be anti-Zionists, right? And then they can be unapologetic about that. And they're not taking all of the money from the institutional machine while it's still time running a great campaign. I mean, you get a combination for success.
Yeah. Shout out to Rafi Law Group, our family. Yes. It's been so dope to partner with, such a name and brand and somebody who I actually am a customer of. Shout out to Rafi Law Group, man. Arizona's premier personal injury law firm. And I don't just put my name on anybody. When we do this stuff on the Bootleg podcast and you see us partnering with brands, we're very selective about who we connect with. And Rafi is someone who's actually helped my family, helped my wife get a settlement, all right? Has helped over 70,000 people in Arizona. No matter what happens, man, car accident, crash, injury, you maybe get bit by a dog. I don't know, whatever it is, Rafi Law Group makes the process less stressful. They put money in your pocket. Yes, the name you can trust. You already know, man. Rafi Law Group. Save the number just in case because, hey, you get into a car accident tomorrow, you got to call Rafi, 623-388-4333, and want to wish a big happy birthday to Rafi. He's just celebrated his 40th birthday. We had a good time in Vegas. 50 Cent was there. Pauly D was there. Mad Rich was there. EC Rock was there. It was a movie, all right? Secretary of State was there. We was just hanging out, man. Shout out to Brandon Rafi. Don't forget, Rafi Law Group, the only call you need to make if you're in AZ and you get into an accident or you get into any sort of injury situation, they'll take care of you immediately. Call Rafi, baby. Let's get back to the podcast. Do you feel like, because it, even like 6 months ago, 9 months ago, the idea of being like publicly anti-Zionist, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, listen, by the day, it's becoming more and more like...
It's a badge of honor today.
Correct. But like even 2 years ago, it's like if you think back to like what they try to do with Kyrie and shit, I mean, obviously Kanye had a very troublesome way of communicating his thoughts in regards to...
He should have just rapped it the first time.
I mean, like they fucking
deleted.
But, his bank account got fucking deleted is what I was trying to get to. But nonetheless, what do you think? It's
back now.
Right now, like I think, the Zionist propaganda has kind of like run its course for a huge faction of our population. And, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you can run on the left and have a serious chance and be pro-Israel.
No, I mean, but that's the thing that people have tried. And that's why a lot of the Democrats have lost. Right? They try to toe that line. What's the one lady, the black lady?
Cori Bush that lost? Oh, you talking about in Texas?
Yeah.
Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett. She tried to run on that. You understand me?
And then she supported the guy who was running against Cori Bush, Wesley.
And here's the thing. It can't just be vaguely that I ain't taking money from them. It's like you have to be proactively against it.
Yes.
The people want to see you take a clear moral stance.
Yes. Show us what you believe in.
It shouldn't be an ambiguous answer. Oh, I didn't say this. I said that. They took it wrong. No. Give us a clear moral stance. So are you either with us or them? I'm going to tell you, man, people don't have time for ambiguity, and people don't have time for nuance. They want to know everything is black and white. It's good and evil. You good or evil? Who you with? Right. And maybe it's never that simple, ever. It literally is never that simple, because sometimes you want to think about what is the best move to make. Right. And so you are weighing evil people to figure out how you can get the best outcome until you get to
because you're
a point.
Always, unfortunately, in America, going to vote for the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, but these people have been bought a long time ago.
100%.
Right? And so I think that you have to realize that these people are bought, paid, and until you buy your own politicians and put them into position, right, you still are dealing with puppets that's on strings that you don't hold. Yeah. Right? That's the way I look at them. You know what I mean? And you might, I've been saying these things early, and now the people get to see it, and I just sit back like Farrakhan does and smile at it.
Yeah, it's like if you look at like this Peter Thiel like group that is compiled, you see, there really is no difference between Cory Booker and J.D. Vance. They just bicker on identity politics They throw the football over there while you're looking. Meanwhile, they're over here aligned on all the real shit.
Oh man, listen,
Going to the same good old boys. Fucking
money a lot. Because the problem is that we keep looking at it as a political issue, a race issue, and it's always gonna be a class.
It's a class issue, 100%.
And when you can get people to steer away from class warfare, then you can control them.
100%.
Right? You can throw in all of the conspiracies that you want to, but the simplification of it is looking at it as a class issue.
Yeah.
Right? It is the reason why white was created. It is the reason why you wanted to separate them from black people. I need you to see yourself as racial classes, right? Not wealth classes. Because one moment it becomes the people against the empire. Moment it becomes the poor against the wealthy, right? You're going to have way more people that are poor than are wealthy.
Yeah.
Because the moment that we start talking about that most of the wealth is concentrated in the 1% or the 10%, that means the other 90% should be aligned.
Yeah, because if you get that other 90% together,
right?
It'd be in theory a lot. It'd be very easy to.
The empire wins when the people feud.
Yeah.
So as long as we can keep the people divided, whatever way we need to do that, right? Whether that's actually taking controlled opposition, not people that we actually created, but we might want to boost this platform to keep these sides distracted and fighting each other so they're no longer fighting us, right? You got to simplify the problem with people.
What are your thoughts? I saw you had a moment with
that little dude. Don't even say that little dude name.
The trans bruh. But what are your thoughts? There is like, I saw what you had said to the trans bruh, and you kind of saw over the last like 8 years a certain level of like African American MAGA people who realized it was good for their pockets, so they just continued to dig into the grift. And I've never seen somebody in such an eloquent way kind of like just melt somebody with kindness.
Yeah. Well, you know, I went to the hike, and I got a hike
Simba,
we doing
right?
this Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the little guy, I guess, was a fan, or however you want to put it. And I'm interrogating to see how he thinks, because he asking me questions. And then as I listen to him, he's telling me that the people he look up to, his Mount Rushmore of aspiration is Ozzy Osbourne and Donald Trump.
Oh man.
So I say, is there not a black man in your mind that you look up to and aspire to be like? He said, no, just myself. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't even have not a single person that looks like you that you look up to. So that's when I was kind of done with the conversation in the first place. And then he pulls out the phone, and I'm like, after everything that you just told about me, are you outside for these people? We're not about to have this moment on the internet like we cool.
Yeah.
You understand me? And that's when I start calling them out.
Yeah.
For me, that's a simple moment in time, right?
Yeah.
That's how I deal with anybody that's like that. Like, I grew up in such the opposite environment, right? A black Muslim environment, Nation of Islam, Oakland, California, as a soldier that was taught that I'm a god and that we got to deal with being in the devil's world until we can take over, right? And so in the deepness of my mind, that's me and who I am. And then I see a young man like that who I think is caught up in this space to where he's lost his identity. He does not have a place. And in these groups, all it is, I don't even look at MAGA. I just look at people trying to find belonging inside these identity groups. Right. And so these are people that are most likely vulnerable, insecure, right, impoverished, right, stressed out. We have the loneliest generation of young men today, committing 100%. The highest rate of suicide, and they're going through a sexual recession, right? They're not having experiences where they're talking with women. They're not going to face-to-face events. They're stuck on the algorithm, and they're homosocial. And so the problem is, if you're looking at it, I'm not looking at him for who he is. All I see is the way his mind works and why he's connected to that, right? And I can understand that, right? For when I understand something, then I'm going to treat you accordingly. You're a victim, right? And because attention is the drug that everybody wants, you would do anything for it. It's your crack. So whether it makes you look good or bad, you would still upload a video and it makes you look like an idiot.
Yeah, why would you have that moment with you?
Right.
And be like, all right, I'm going to share this with everybody.
Because attention is the drug.
It's attention.
Niggas are streaming and making themselves look foolish, but here's the thing, that even if somebody criticizes you, people will forget down there 2 days from now and you get a clean slate to start over again.
100%.
People are looking at who has the attention. Hitler can walk down the street. If he's social media famous, people want to take selfies with him because he has attention. And they feel like, well, if you got attention, then I can get attention, and then I can convert that, because everybody is poor and suffering.
Yeah, we've seen like every 6-7 months there's like a new streamer, and like obviously now it's Dean and AB. And I just it's all I see on my fucking phone is Adrian Broner and Dean the Great.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know who Dean the Great was before he got fucking hit by Larry Wheels. Yeah. And now he's like, you know, it's
well. Let's go back to this. When Lil B got slapped off the couch, he became Bass God.
Shout out to the Bass God.
He built up a whole cult after that.
Right.
That was his early signal of the future.
He was very ahead of his time in every way. Yeah.
And it's the same thing now.
Yeah.
He converted that into something that became cult-like and positive, but, you know, he got a lot of white fans. He ain't become, like, at that time, he ain't become, like, super famous in the black community for that.
No, he had a cult following.
But he became a super cult following.
Super.
Those are, as a futurist, I look at those as signals. It signals what the future is going to be. Now we at that point in time where anybody can get slapped and get famous.
Yeah, I think the IRL...
Except that guy Nipsey slap. I still don't know who he is.
Oh, yeah, Nipsey slapped the fuck out of that guy.
That victory slap. That was just for Nipsey.
Shout out to Nip. I do feel like the IRL streaming economy is... It's like... It's just becoming like... Everyone is living...
Yeah, they gay bait. They act gay for money.
Well, they're just also...
And I don't know if they really are, but, you know.
I feel like they're just living life for, like, clippable moments.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm walking down the street and I see a dude... I might try to like fuck with this dude.
Yeah.
Just to get a reaction because I know someone's gonna clip it. But
Yeah.
like you wouldn't, if the cameras weren't running, you wouldn't do that.
I was talking with Simba yesterday, and he say, "What? Ray J said he go rape him for a clip."
Oh yeah, Ray J's on a sick one right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's
for
like
sure.
We are at this point where what you think is being a man has been totally thrown out, and a person. We are in late stage capitalism where your manhood is completely up for sale. Now, at a time when we would be like, that's selling your soul. They are happily saying, I will sell my soul for some more streams.
And popular more than ever because it's like, because 12-year-old white kids fuck with them now.
Yeah. So this is like idiocracy at this point, right? And this is, all of these industries can be turned into something good. Like we can use a streaming, and you've probably yet to see somebody like me in the streaming era, but companies are doing this now where they want to have educational streams. They want to figure out how do we convert this because it's not sustainable.
It's not. I like Speed. I feel like Speed does like...
Oh, Speed got it.
Very, very like... I never see him stepping out. And I didn't watch Speed, 7 or 8 years ago when he first started. But
he was wilding back then, but he wild now.
But I think like he's pretty dialed in, like, and it feels like he's moving. Like he just seems like a very good dude.
A lot of them are where Speed was at when he first started.
Right.
Pranking people and knocking on doors and wilding out. Speed became refined. He started learning off his mistakes and he started growing. Right. And so I see this a lot of times when people are early on their journey. And this is why I kind of give people grace to evolve and mature, inshallah. But not everybody does. But you have to give people grace because sometimes God can use them for something bigger. If people wanted to cancel Speed right early on, he wouldn't have not been able to do the great things that he's doing.
He is. I feel like he's tore down so much propaganda.
Man, I've been going to Africa since 2019. I've been through all the different countries, and no matter how much I went to Africa, I had podcasts in South Africa, the tallest building in Africa in 2019, built bridging the gap. But it pales in comparison of what I've done in the last like 8-9 years to seeing Speed take that in one trip all across the continent.
Yeah.
But what he does is, Speed is somebody that is he's like an anime character. You understand me? He's showing the adventure of a young man, and he's treating everybody, whether they are an emperor to a politician or whether it's somebody in the marketplace. He's treating everybody with respect and love and energy, right? And then he's showing these spaces that traditional media is not showing. He's a representation of independent media, right, in a new form of it. But that's harder to replicate, so people look at that as an outlier. Right. And Speed also has a level of consciousness. He's very anti-Zionist.
Very.
You know what I mean? Anytime somebody asks him about Israel, you feel me? And he act like that question just did not exist. And he exit that conversation fast. Is it real? No, it's fake. Yeah.
You saw the soccer game?
Yeah.
He was like,
shout out to my fans
over there.
Yeah, he ain't catching me, but he's intelligent. You can see a man thinking in the moment. And shout out to Shaka Bars that's been working with him, setting up that tour. It's about the people you have around you.
Yeah, I think Speed did such a good job on his world tour stream thing of just like, even when he was in China for better or for worse, because he also kind of showed everybody like, yeah, motherfuckers in China are a little racist.
Oh, for sure, a lot of racists, Chinese, a lot of, and shout out to Chinese people, ni hao. But what happens is like a lot of Chinese people take the narratives that they get in media and they believe them wholesale.
For sure, and they also don't have black people there like that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, he also showed like China is kind of the shit compared to the U.S. If you think about like technically they're ahead of us in terms of infrastructure and how they spend the money.
Well, all we get is Western media
100%
on China, and all they get is Western media on us.
Yeah.
Right. So, average Chinese person ain't gonna know who the hell Malcolm X is. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna know none of our black leaders, but they will know our black rappers.
Right.
Right. Our entertainers.
Right.
So therefore, that's the image and picture that they have of you. It's a caricature of the lowest common denominator, right? Not the highest self.
It's almost racism from like a space of naiveness.
I used to work with a lot of Chinese people, and they seemingly really cool ass people, right? Like we friends, we good people. Then when you talk to them and you understand their beliefs, and they gonna ask you some crazy wild shit like, do all black people eat fried chicken? Y'all be eating the watermelons, huh? And to them, straight up, to them, it's not racist. It's not biased.
They don't understand why it's racist.
It's what they really think is true.
Right.
And so you really understand, like, like you take host. There's no critical thinking on the analysis of the stereotypes that you receive. You take Western media as truth.
It's almost like a certain level of like Americans in the 70s or 80s might ask somebody from Japan if they know karate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know karate?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what I mean?
They
like,
thought you was Jet Li.
Right. Or,
you know what I'm saying?
Bruce Lee or whatever.
Well,
it's interesting.
He might have been Chinese. I don't know.
He was Chinese. He was.
Yeah. But, I think that's where independent media has to become stronger. If we can't control the narratives that are presented to the world about who we are, right? And the other thing is that we're all living in our own bubbles.
Yeah.
I think I heard, who was that giving this breakdown on like, now that you have hits out there, right? There's no universal hits. Like when we was younger, you heard Genie in the Bottle from Britney Spears.
Everywhere.
Right? No matter what.
Yeah.
Now, I never hear a Taylor Swift song. I wouldn't know a single one.
Same, dude.
Right. So,
or like a Morgan Wallen song.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know Morgan Wallen?
I don't know.
He does stadiums.
That's fine.
He's got records with Dirk.
Amazing. Maybe if I heard it.
But it's a country artist.
That's why.
Yeah.
But to that point, you could be as big as you possibly can, but we're all living in our own little worlds and bubbles.
Like K-pop.
The algorithm is controlling these little worlds.
K-pop is the most unique example for me.
Yeah.
Because I have no fucking idea about BTS or any of those.
Yeah, I still think that's behind the scenes.
It is a thing that you're just like, oh, there's just a whole other world that,
And I'm not about to. So, I get it. We're all in our own worlds, and we don't even have enough perspective of each other to create or have empathy.
Right.
I watched that movie Disclosure, and I think one of the greatest lines in it was talking about how the aliens, and
that's the new Spielberg movie, right?
Spielberg movie, but it was talking about empathy being an evolutionary biological advantage, right? That human beings have.
Yeah.
Right. But most of us don't have empathy anymore. Right? Like we don't really drop in and really speak to the person that's in front of us. We're all talking at each other. Right. We're all trying to make points. We're not conversing anymore. We're not having dialogues. We're having battles. We're having debates.
100%.
We're reacting to everything. We're not really thinking about this human being and their life and who they are.
Right.
Right. And we feel that lack of empathy everywhere we go. Right. And without having that empathy to where somebody can see you for you, right, you're always alone.
Right.
No matter how many people are in the room. And I believe that's what's happening with this current generation. They're being seen, but they ain't really being seen.
Right.
Right. And so people might like them, but they don't love them. You might get likes and comments, but you ain't gonna get no real love in real life. And so there's a lack of intimacy. There's a lack of empathy. And when those human things disappear, that's where you start to get people that's depressed.
Yeah. I want to know your thoughts on a couple of albums.
I'm dropping an album.
You are dropping an album?
I don't know when this release, but it'll be out by the time this release.
It'll be out by the time this
tomorrow.
Oh, it drops tomorrow?
Yeah. I had already finished it about a year ago, and I had sold
Well, you
it
had sent me
privately.
some,
Yeah.
like an untitled link.
Yeah, that was the album at the time, and you never listened to it.
So what is so tell me. No, I listened to some of it. I think I listened to the first song you said.
Okay, first song.
But what is when you say you sold it to like?
So yeah, I put it on the private market. So we had a company that we work with called Unreleased.
Okay.
Right. So we did a nice little 5 figures in sales. You understand me?
Hey, dude, that's fine.
Yeah, we did really good. So and I wasn't even like pushing it. That's just me pushing it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we were selling it in person as well throughout the tour.
Okay.
So people buying the album for $100 all throughout the tour.
Wow.
You know what I mean? They get the small little plastic album.
Yeah.
They tap it. It's on their phone and it's only theirs. Some people use the whole Nipsey model, pay what you want.
Pay what you want,
What I mean? People paying $200, $300, $400, $500 for the album. Right. So I wanted to do that first just for the core base. And now I'm putting it on streaming platforms just so that people.
So it'll be out for passive fans.
Yeah. But I think that everybody should do that. I think go to your own audience first.
Yeah, I think there's a guy named Rock Marciano who does a good job of that, who will drop, and like 6 months later it'll be on DSPs.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a smart thing to do.
It's the best thing. Owned audience is the audience. If the algorithm cuts off, who do you have access to?
Thoughts on a month later, Iceman? I saw your tweets when it dropped. You were kind of like your real time tweets while listening.
Yeah. I did a full like breakdown on Iceman. I always got to go high level with stuff. It's funny. I be really just enjoying stuff for the listen, but then by the time I talk about it on social, it's always this high level critique and stuff. It's funny because now I feel like it died down fast. I mean, but that's the nature of social media. I first looked at Iceman as him embracing, his white Ashkenazi Caucasian villain side. Right? There was this.
Damn.
Listen now. I'm saying it's just from a truthful place, my perspective on it. And I did a much larger breakdown. But what is an Iceman? An Iceman is somebody who has went cold. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're emotionally frozen. They ain't got no more love for you. You know what I mean? They in survival mode. They want revenge. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're closing borders and closing ranks. And hip-hop has historically always rewarded that Iceman mentality. 50 Cent came in the game after he got shot. He went Iceman. Mm-hmm. You understand me? Ain't no more warmth in my voice. It's all cold. Yeah. Right? I feel like Drake was really vying for the culture for a very long time. And then Kendrick came in and gave him a very cold winter. And then he embraced everything that was said about him. And he put that into album form. Right? Okay, I'm not with the culture. I'm not this, that, and the third. I'm just for the money. All right, well, I'm going to be the biggest in the money game there. You understand me? And when I listened to it, I seen a man that he also understands the game to where he going to put all of these names in so he can seed it all across the algorithm. But it also represents a man who ain't letting nothing go. You understand me? Like, I want my revenge at all costs. It's going to be a cold summer. So the way I looked at it was there's this book by this Canadian scholar that came out in 1978. And it's called The Iceman Inheritance. And it talks about this exact mentality that white people have when from growing up in cold climates genetically that gives them this disposition that everybody doesn't agree with the scholar and whether it's true or not. But I think that there's a lot of logic that comes into it where it's called cold cognition, right? It's very cold thinking where culture is supposed to be warm. It's supposed to be summer, supposed to be community, love, rhythm, spirituality, right? Vibration. Iceman is the complete opposite of all of that. He said, listen, I ain't trying to say that I'm the man of the culture. I'm out here kissing white bitches in the mouth. That's what he said. You understand me? Like, when I listened to the lyrics, I listened to a man who was in survival mode that went through probably the worst thing that a human being can go through, which is a humiliation ritual in front of the entire world.
It lasted like 2 years. Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. I'm going to be honest. I give him his credit for being strong to be able to go through that because some people would have committed suicide for something like that. Yeah. Right? When we talk about things that people go through that destroy them, like that's 100 million times worse than what Meek went through when they was having their battles. 100%. So I can understand, and that's why I'm not looking at it from even like a hateful lens. I look at it from a understanding like, this is probably the mindset and the mentality that anybody that went through that would have. but he found a very strategic way to convert that into music and to convert that into a favorable outcome and get back outside.
Yeah, my thing with it was once I got, I guess, kind of through my own interpretation of essentially what you just said, it was like, okay, once I said, okay, I don't know what it's like to be in someone's shoes who just went through what this Kendrick thing was, you know, Super Bowl, and fucking stadium tour, going to Toronto, yeah. So it was like, okay, once because my first listen was like, it's just 18 songs of like bitching.
Yeah.
You know? It's like I saw a tweet, and I don't want to take credit for the tweet, but I saw a tweet where somebody said like Drake's whole career he was rapping about women who broke his heart, and this was the only album where he rapped about a man who broke his heart.
Yeah, it's real.
And my first listen,
Men who broke his heart.
Men, multiples, yeah. I was like, I just couldn't get through that part. But then once I kind of came to peace with like, okay, this is the theme of the album. Let me just appreciate the rapping, the songs. You know, it's in the top half of his discography, and I thought lyrically he was the most potent.
Yeah, I agree. I
thought he pushed his pen harder on this album than he did on any other album because he kind of had to.
Here's the way, and Steve noticed, the way I judge albums after I'm done being biased, I do the same thing. I look at it as, what did you intend to do and did you do that? Right? Because there's what you want from an album, but then as an artist, you have to look at whether they intended to do that, and I have to judge the talent on whether they actually delivered.
Yeah.
And I think conceptually, I didn't listen to the other two albums, so I can't say nothing about them.
I like Habib T, but the Maid of Honor is a steaming pile of dog shit.
I haven't listened to it. But after I listened to Iceman, conceptually, I think that he delivered on the concept perfectly.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
What about an album that I think has aged with every listen? What do you think about The Fall Off, J. Cole?
Cole is not, you know what? Damn.
Such a great album.
I think the album is good just for the album to exist.
Okay.
Right? It's not the album I wanted.
Okay.
Right? But it's hard to say that. I'm just super biased. I don't even know what I wanted, but it wasn't my favorite album. But if I go back and listen, I'm sure I would love it. Yeah. Sometimes you got to go back and listen outside the space of when it's dropped.
Right.
And just listen to it for the music itself.
Right.
J. Cole will always prove that he is a phenomenal lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
He can make great songs. He can put together concepts. I think what it is with J. Cole is that sometimes I give him credit for more depth than he has. Right? And so I end up wanting more than I think is unfair to have an expectation of. Right? And so I think that creates a disappointment just from an expectation lens. So, but when I bring down that expectation and I just listen to it, then I can enjoy it. But it wasn't my favorite album. I think I like some of his previous albums better, but I also just haven't given it the time to go back and listen to it outside of that bias.
Do you have a favorite album this year besides your own, of course?
Besides my own, let me see what comes close. What I've been listening to. Because when I'm in the gym, I ain't gonna lie, I be turning on me a lot. I was just listening to some of that Yak. You understand me? That Kodak Black. Mm-hmm. I like some of it. I think a lot of it is vibes. It feels like he went in the studio. I ain't listened to the whole thing. I just listened to it on the way here, so I can't really give.
Vince Staples got a dope album.
I listened to that.
Vince is dope.
I think it's dope. It's not my vibe.
Right. It's different. It's definitely different.
When I go through it, because I like Vince Staples so much that I'm trying to find something that could be my vibe. But I think that's
because you like him.
Right. But I think that's a bad way to approach music.
For sure.
Right? Like, it should come natural to you. And so maybe, again, the way I'm listening to something, I might put it on as I'm in a car or I'm walking. I got to put myself in a different environment to try to see if I can enjoy that music in the environment in which it was supposed to exist. But right now, it's not my type of vibe.
You, obviously, you're from Oakland. What are your thoughts on what seemed to be like a very quick everybody turning their back on LaRussell earlier this year? He just made his return to the internet, just was on America's Got Talent this week, actually. I think he had a moment that didn't go his way, and I think even like that song. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
LaRussell will always be a star. He's a permanent star. That light ain't going away nowhere.
Facts.
When we look at social media reacts the way it's designed. It's designed to be polarizing. It's not designed to understand you. It's designed to take clickbait.
It's not designed for nuance.
No nuance whatsoever. And so I heard somebody give a great breakdown that if I want to be more polarizing, I'll give an opinion. If I want to be more understood, I'll give a perspective. Once you give a perspective, you can't really fight somebody's perspective. It's just the way I see it. Right? An opinion is a little more less objective in the sense that you're saying this is what it is, and the person then gets angry. No, it ain't like that, because everybody wants to have a battle of opinions. So when I see what LaRussell did, I think the only thing was probably taking it personal. You know, when you have a machine, that machine can work for you and it can work against you. Right? When you have a machine that is amplifying everything you're doing, something that would have been a normal moment in his regular life now became a moment that the machine picked up because he just had the super mode moment. He just had the Jay-Z moment. He just had the signing moment. So for me, I think it was one of those first moments of seeing the negative publicity pick up the way the positive publicity picks up.
And I think it was a perfect example of a lot of people looking for a reason to not like LaRussell.
Yeah, well,
and like leaning into it.
Once you no longer the so-called underdog.
Right. It's like, oh, yo, you signed with Rock Nation, you sold out. Now we got a reason to say, fuck you.
Right. But
as opposed to being like, well, the whole song is on Spotify. And if you listen to the whole song, you understand where the concept, like clipped the way it was clipped. Sure, I could see, but still no nuance. Like anybody with a brain could understand what he was trying to say. Now, the reaction he had, that I think you said, like taking the reaction personal, maybe is kind of where he lost a lot of people.
And I'm sure that he you know, I don't know what, again, we kind of take the human out of things.
For sure. I mean, look, he took himself off social media. I mean, like,
right. But it's like where you have to conclude, I don't know his state of mind, right? You just had one of the best moments of your life. You might even be burnt out from all these things that's going on. And you feel like I've done so much for a community. I've done so much for people. I put so many people on. And sometimes it feels like, man, you can do a whole life right, and then one moment people can hate you for.
100%.
And that can feel very troubling, right? 100%. When you think about that, it's like, I'm doing all of this for people every single day, and then you realize it don't matter. Only thing that matters is the last moment that they saw of you.
Last moment. And they won't even give you the grace to understand the point you were trying to make. This is a guy who's got free Palestine, freestyle.
Yeah. I mean, he's putting on communities. He's putting on businesses. He's feeding people. He has a platform that's putting on independent artists. He's taking children and putting them on stages and giving people careers 100%. And giving out money 100%. And changing the industry and the independent lens of things and sharing game. And it's like, you're not going to conclude all of that into your next perspective on it.
One little clip?
Nah. So I don't buy no hate against people because I know how the internet loves to hate people. Yeah. Right. And so the love can easily be flipped into hate because it's just an emotion, and depending on how it's being charged at the moment and what narrative is being spun. But that can make a person feel a certain way when you're doing so much good, and then people try to spin it as if I'm actually allowed to have a bad day. I'm allowed to fuck up. I'm allowed to have mistakes. I'm allowed to do something wrong, because the other rappers y'all see talking about killing, murdering, prostitution, pimping, gambling, and every other thing, y'all still rock with them 100% all day long.
And he's not wrong to have that perspective.
Yeah. I think you have to, in order to be successful today, you just got to not care. And you still have to be intentional about how you move, but you have to understand that everything is temporary. 100%. You understand me? And the people that's hating online are not the same people that's offline. Right. I've been across the planet Earth, and I got nothing but love across the whole planet Earth. I got nothing but respect. Online, I've been disrespected before. Online, niggas done hated before. I've never experienced that. Not one time over the last 10 years since I've been a public figure, any of that energy. Right? So I know that there's a complete disconnect on what's reality, right? And then what's social media.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
But LaRussell is one of the ones that, man, when you see a person do 99.9% good, I don't care even if he meant it that way, I still rock with him. Right. Because what I know of him, your pattern becomes your character, right? And the pattern of who he is, the dominant of who he is, will override anything that I disagree with. I will still at the end of the day say that's my brother.
For sure.
Right. And so I think that I did see a lot of people jump out the window and was so ready.
It was crazy. It's like
So
they were ready
ready
for an excuse.
They was ready to hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he done made it to a place that they never will.
Yeah.
And so now they mad. And there's this thing that, well, if I can tear you down, I can have a come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like it's the grandstand.
Shout out to T, shout out to larussell. You understand me?
Good company.
Those the good company, man. They are incredible people, good people. I've been seeing him for a long time, and every time I see him, it's nothing but good energy, love. He might ask a question to try to even get more perspective on things. Because I remember when we was at Revolt years ago, he was like, "How do you deal with like managing, you know, being in the industry, if you will, while being you?" Right. Because I think people see me as an outlier. Like, and I think when Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan once said, when he walks into a room, he brings his own atmosphere. You know, like you can't go in and assimilate. You lose parts of yourself. Part of that being sovereign is understanding that, you know, you're going to affect people and impact people. Right. And you have to understand the environments that you're stepping into that are not like you. Yeah. And you can't let them change you to where that thing that made you special, that thing that made you stand out, the thing that made you different, you start giving up more and more of that because you say, in order to be around these people, I should assimilate. I should think like them more. I should be like them more. No, you got here from being different, right? And what's going to make you not just stay here, but what's going to make you happy with your own success is being loyal to those parts of yourself that you believe that come from God. That's your values, that's your principles, that's your morals. You have to be consistent in that and not break it. And people are going to try to do that, from social media to people that's trying to get you to sell out and buy out. It's just more so about sticking to your script and not letting everybody change your narrative.
Okay, so album is dropping tomorrow?
Yeah, Juneteenth drops tomorrow. Okay. We the guys, all platforms. Make sure you lock in.
You still got the coffee?
Still got the Supermind coffee. Right now we have the coffee, we have the tea, we got gummies, we got chocolates. Everything is all cognitive wellness. Okay. So it's superfood for your brain. You understand me? Clean, no jitters, none of those different things that you get from normal caffeine consumption and things of that nature. So we've been focusing on that. Our plan is to have a coffee shop start up. Our goal is to like create these third spaces because we don't have enough in-person experiences. Right. July 19th, we have our AI networking event doing with my brother Rance.
That's in LA?
Yes, at We Play. We're doing a hike this Sunday, a freedom hike. It's Father's Day plus Juneteenth. Yep. And we also have some networking events we're doing at the facility.
Yeah, tell me about the facility.
So it is owned by a family office called Factory. Okay. And so that is a space that it's a multifamily office that does wealth management for the culture. Right. And then there's the Factory Club that is the coordination layer for the culture. So how you put infrastructure behind influence. How do we make sure that we actually own the culture? A lot of these things that we talk about are like super fragmented, but I'm in there daily with people that are XC regulated, right? When it comes to being a financial advisor, right. When it comes to wealth managing of billions of dollars, when it comes to how you structure deals and how you do business with governments and raise hundreds of millions of dollars and things of that nature. That's the infrastructure layer that I think that we've always missed to become an institution. So it's more so about taking all of our influences collectively and seeing what power we have.
And then the hackathons that you do, how often do you do those? What are
the goal is to do them monthly.
Okay.
The goal is also networking, making sure we have face-to-face experiences with each other. We're not online on the computer type.
Say somebody's in like Chattanooga, Tennessee. They can't get to LA.
Yeah.
Is there a way to participate in getting some of the AI game from you? Or
yeah, so we do 2 AI weekly live labs. Okay. So we'll take you through there. You can get your questions asked, whatever you have when it comes to AI. We do live building sessions, so we show you how to build it in real time, and that's through our high-level university, but our platform is called Zion. So you can go there, apply, and then you get 2 weekly passes to be inside these classes learning as we go, right? So there's no excuse to say, well, you know, I don't want to just look at a course video. I don't want to just go online and just learn from people that's just dropping information. No, you get to actually ask questions. You get to build alongside somebody that's building websites, somebody building AI agents, somebody that's teaching you about all this language you might hear out of there. And the goal is to take really 100 people and getting them making their first $10,000 a month.
That's
right?
dope.
That's the real goal with the AI. So my brother Antoine Digital, who's been doing this for like the last 10, 15 years, who had taught himself how to code, and he has coded thousands of apps and put a bunch of them on on the App Store. He is the one that is leading it week to week.
That's fire. Yeah, I don't think people understand, like, if you have an app idea,
Yeah.
it used to be like, almost like back in the day when you were a rapper.
Yeah.
The idea of getting your music heard by anybody when it was CDs and tapes was like, it felt impossible. How do I get into a recording studio? How do I, now it's like, if you have an app idea, like, it's not far away from you making it.
Not at all. No, I mean, like now, nothing should stay an idea, right?
I think about, I don't know if you saw that game like 2 years ago where like NBA Youngboy broke out of jail. It was like an app that went viral on an iPhone. It was like unauthorized. Somebody just made it on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And you're just NBA Youngboy breaking out of jail.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money the guy made, but he had to have just like spitballed that into ChatGPT one night.
Did you see the guy who created two forms so when you were filming, you can do it in horizontal and vertical at once?
No.
So he vibe coded something because he had a problem he wanted to fix because he was making viral content about squirrels or something. But he didn't want to have to reshoot sometimes horizontal, sometimes vertical for different social pages. So he just vibe coded an app and it ended up becoming #1 right on the App Store.
Crazy. And
right?
such an easy thing to think of, like, hey, it would be nice if we can.
Yeah. Like one of the use cases I use in my business is building out CRMs, right? So we built out a 246,000 customer CRM system that can automatically rank people from hot, cold, and warm. I can see how much they bought, when they bought, where they went to a tour, how many times, what's their patterns, right?
Wow.
And then we took that information and create what we call passports on our platform. So it essentially sends them an email to be like, yo, collect your passport. You get 2 free weeks of AI Live Labs. So now I can retarget my customers.
So if you see somebody as like a committed customer, you can reach out to them with like, hey.
Yeah. Now I know their exact names. I know who they are. I know how many times they supported. I know how many times they shown up.
Right.
That data is invaluable for entrepreneurs right now.
Yeah, no matter what if you have a restaurant.
Exactly. Like every tour that we've done has been self-funded and independent, so we get to keep all that data. Anytime we've done it with somebody else, like CAA want us to keep all the data.
They want to keep it because that's where it's valuable.
Exactly. And then they're trying to say our value is interpreting the data for you. Right. So now you have the ability to start your own agency inside your company, right? To where you can analyze your own data and then make the data driven decisions, right? You can do your own research and then make research driven decisions. So I think that this is important that people understand it. And the last thing that I wanted to say is about these, the local models. I think that everybody should be focusing on not just using ChatGPT and Claude. Locally is installing it on your computer.
In the terminal thing.
Inside the terminal, right? That's what we really focus on. That's what me and my brother Rance 1500, my brother Xavier Systems focus on. And that's what we taught people at the last AI hackathon. And once you do that, you can then set it up in a way that it's secure. You can give it access to your data. Once you give it access to your data, we've had people that are in the music industry that had really great testimonials because they found money that they were owed. Right? They found 50 different ways to make money on their music. They was able to go through all their data and be like, oh, this is really good IP that can be converted into an ebook that's just sitting here.
So if you install it that way, it's a lot more trustworthy way to say,
yes,
let me get you into all the back end.
Yeah.
As opposed to having Claude have access to your Gmail
and when you're using Claude and ChatGPT, you're training their next model with your data. Right? So every time you're prompting, that is going to them. And those models are influenced by companies. They're influenced by the advertisers. They're influenced by the government.
By their political,
right. So it's being
alignment,
trained on the collective versus you having a local model that you can customize to be trained on you. And then they have what you call weights. And the weights is basically adjusting the model itself. So you can do a lot more customizable things. You can download free models to where you're not paying for these image models. You're not paying for these video models. You can go on GitHub. You can download Quinn and all these other things. So we also not trying to get people to spend a bunch of money on AI. We're trying to get you to make sure that it's personalized for you. They're not taking a culture and then training off the culture and then trying to replace us the same way you'll have rappers like me and Simba was talking about this. Rappers will go to some of these companies and be rapping for them so that they can learn the cadence, they can learn the language, and then they can train the models, right? So
crazy.
you have to be careful as we're using these platforms. They're training how to replace the culture. They're training how to replace you. But if you're using locally and no data is being sent to them, and I probably oversimplified the way you set it up, and that's why we have our trainings to make sure you're doing it securely. But this is a way that we're not training our replacements.
That makes sense.
You can go
Keep it confined to your computer.
You can go to, there's a Google application. I forget what the model is called right now, but you can install it on your phone completely. So if you lost in the woods and ain't got no internet, you still have an AI that you can ask any question you want to.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like we don't know all of the things that we can do with AI. And this is what I want us to understand, because I see people that are ignorant of it because these data centers are being put in black communities, are poisoning the water, are poisoning the air. So how could we then make sure that we're not participating in the poisoning? You can't do that if you're ignorant of how these things work.
Right.
AI literacy is the new financial literacy. You got to get you some.
I love it, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you pulling up. Go get his album. It's out.
Man, tap in with me.
Go support the sign up for a hackathon. What's the website people can sign up for all that?
Go to 19keys.com/AI. Just go to 19keys.com.
How often are you dropping on the YouTube
Zion
channel when you do the like the high level conversations and shit?
We're going to start doing it back bi-weekly.
Okay.
So we got episodes coming out this Sunday. That's going to be a really good one. My brother Keenan Beasley. But we took some time off to really focus on the infrastructure of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because with this,
I remember initially I saw you on Mike Rashid's channel.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's kind of how
I did some
I think
interviews
that's how
with
I
Mike.
found you.
Yeah, shout out
was
to
on
Mike.
his channel.
Yeah.
And then I just started checking out.
Now I've been podcasting for the last 10 years now. You know what I mean? Like it goes back 10 years.
Were you surprised as somebody who sat down with RFK for like 3 hours and had his best interview of the entire time he was running for president to see him kind of just fucking, I don't know.
Well, we've been cited in Congress, so I'm glad we did that. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of people at the time was asking why would we sit down with him. At first, we were supposed to actually sit down with Jamal Bowman, who was a congressman.
Yeah.
And at that time,
I wasn't mad at RFK back then, by the way. As an actual, I wasn't mad at him.
So at the time, what's the league, the not the ADL, but the other Zionist money pack. APAC. They had spent the most money against somebody in a campaign. It was
against
Jamal Bowman.
Yeah.
He was supposed to come down to sit with us. He was going to be the first politician that we had talked to.
Right.
And then I guess his campaign strategist at the time was like, nah, let's not do Keys. Right. And they made that wrong decision. And then they ended up losing. And then RFK team reached out to us. And I was like, why not? Let me see what happens when you can actually mix up and independent media can now be a part of these political processes.
I thought it was a great conversation too.
It was the best he ever had, which is why it's the one
it made me like him.
It's the reason why it's the most cited, because he got comfortable and he was having long form conversations, and those conversations are now being cited in Congress and consistently against him because it's when he was speaking the most truth of the way he thinks.
At that time, had the election been at that time, that interview, that's what sold me on. I would have voted for RFK instead of Kamala or Trump for sure. Now, obviously,
well, I would have sat down with Kamala to have that conversation.
She wouldn't have sat down with you.
She wouldn't have sat down with me.
Yeah.
But that's why she lost, not because she didn't sit down with me, but because she was unwilling, right, to sit down with people that's like me, right? She didn't go to
or just unwilling to like show she's a human who can like be put in uncomfortable positions and not be asked scripted questions she already had knowledge of.
Exactly. If you're not willing to get put in that hot seat, then people ain't gonna believe you.
I would love to see you sit down with Ro Khanna, he's the congressman in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
He's the guy who pushed the Epstein Transparency Act with and then Thomas Massey, who is the new congressman who's had the most money spent against him from AIPAC.
Hey, they tap in with me.
$30 million. Did you see this race in Kentucky?
Well, I think they need this right now. Like, you need to be able to sit down and have these unscripted conversations that put you in a hot seat that people can see. Even if you don't answer things perfectly, they can say this is a human being.
Yep.
Right. And I think that you being over polished and your campaign manager is the reason that you're losing, because they're going off their experience, and their experiences from an old world.
100%.
And
it's a new world, man.
People don't want anything that is reminiscent of that old institutional style.
Even Trump, all the podcasting he did, however you felt about him as a dude.
The strategy was right.
It was a great strategy.
They understood attention.
And J.D. Vance is currently in the middle of trying to do that right now.
I mean, and then, of course, you get the Charlie Kirks of the world that was funded to help put him into position. So, again, when I see what the opposition is doing, I'm always asking, what are we willing to do?
The same thing?
And a lot of us are disconnected from each other because they be like, well, maybe I don't agree with Keys on this position or that position, but we all got the same enemies.
It's the one position,
Yeah.
though. It's the one position that you have that will make them not fuck with you.
Yeah,
and
so
that is the big Z.
I think that's some sucker shit to be like, here we have the same enemy, but I'm unwilling to unite with you because we have small differences. That's narcissistic.
It's really just the one difference, though.
Yeah.
It feels like if you're like a establishment Democrat, you're not going to sit down with someone who's like super anti-Israel.
Yeah.
It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
but I appreciate you.
Appreciate
having me
you,
here, man.
19
You
Keys, my bro. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you, bro. Yes, sir. Boom. What up, y'all? We're here at Ease. You already know if you're in LA, Southern Cal, man, tap in, go to the website right now. Use that promo code bootlegger to get 30% off flour, concentrates, whatever you're into, they got it. 30% off. Go to ease.com right now. It'll get delivered right to your door. Or if you're in LA, pull up because we're here right now. Come on, man. Shout out to Ease.